Xianxi's divine stone parts the poisonous miasma, but the eyes of 3 divine kings are now upon him. When his master Mu Xuanyin confronts him, the very air turns to ice. Leave a like and subscribe to walk this treacherous path. Once the jade-colored light appeared, the slowly spreading miasma suddenly stirred before it dissipated, melting layer by layer. After a few breaths of time, a meter away from Xianxi, the dark green miasma had completely vanished, leaving behind the usual darkness and turbid air. Xianxi began to advance. His steps weren't slow, but the poisonous miasma would also dissipate backwards every step he took, layer after layer, as if it was being swallowed by some invisible spatial rift. An expression of disbelief was plastered on the face of Emperor Nanli. All 3 great realm kings could not help but reveal shocked expressions. Their eyes all locked onto that jade-green profound stone in Xianxi's hand. This poisonous miasma was terrifying. They had experienced it firsthand. When Xianxi said he had the ability to dissipate it, none of them believed him, including Mu Xuanyin. It was just due to his mentality of not letting the slightest chance or opportunity slip by that he allowed it. Who would have thought that he would have witnessed this miracle? This! All 3 of them looked at each other, shock on their faces. "Little brother, what is that divine stone in your hand? It's so effective," Mu Xuanyin cried out. As a realm king, ordinary treasures would never have left him in such a shock. Emperor Nanli couldn't laugh anymore. Both he and Han Quan stared straight at Xianxi. Xianxi had on a gleeful expression. He hurriedly replied, "Island Master Mu, this is an item my master gave me before I left to go train. He said that this item contains a very strong purifying power. With the exception of the devil poison from the northern divine region, it can purify everything under the sky, even poison miasmas." When your majesties exclaimed that the poison was very powerful, Junior was indeed worried, but this item does what my master said it would do. This is great. Your master, what is his identity? You said that you were born in the Darkia realm, but this king has never heard of any expert in the Darkia realm that are proficient in the poison arts. Emperor Nanli grimly said, "Oh, Junior is indeed from the Darkia realm, but since I was young, I've followed my master everywhere, and master is not from the Darkia realm." His identity, because there are several grudges by others formed against him. Before Junior came out to train, he warned me never to speak his name. As his student, I must respect his instructions. I hope your majesties will forgive me. Xianxi was a picture of honesty, but was honestly spouting bullshit. I see. Mu Xuanyin didn't ask further and gently nodded his head. Just based on this treasure, we can certainly say your master is definitely a powerful expert. Xianxi sped up, and the poisonous miasma continued to dissipate layer by layer. I thank Island Master Mu for your words, but this purifying profound stone cannot be considered to be any sort of miraculous treasure. Master once said that it had only one use. Once its purifying power is completely released, it will become a useless ordinary stone. Oh, that's really a pity, Mu Xuanyin replied, not sure whether to believe him. After going forward 2 to 3 kilometers, the purifying stone in Xianxi's hands started to grow darker, and at this time, the poisonous miasma suddenly started to become very thin. As Xianxi continued walking, the dark green miasma vanished in an instant. In front of them was no longer a dark passageway, but an incredibly thick and heavy-looking stone door. "Success!" Xianxi joyfully cried. Luckily, this stretch of poisonous miasma wasn't that long. It looks like this stone door in front of us seems to be the exit. Oh no, entrance. A few kilometers was a very short distance to profound practitioners of the divine way, but this frightening poisonous miasma had actually left these 3 great realm kings helpless to pass through. They had to actually rely on a young divine soul realm practitioner to pass through the poisonous miasma zone. All 3 kings were expressionless, but their eyes held traces of excitement. Just beyond that stone door, it was highly possible. That was where the immortal Emperor Grass lay. After expending so much effort, they were finally going to reap the reward. However, they didn't rush forward impulsively, they stopped instead. All 3 of them looked at the purifying stone in Xianxi's hand, which had lost its luster. "Little brother, could you let this king take a look at the divine stone in your hand?" "Haha, such a divine stone, this king cannot help but feel very curious." Mu Xuanyin had a friendly face, and his words were said without any threat or forcefulness. After hearing him, Xianxi immediately replied, "Of course, there's no problem." As he spoke, he unhesitantly placed the profound stone into Mu Xuanyin's palm. His expression, however, was a little dark. Although we successfully purified the poisonous miasma, I'm afraid we have exhausted all of its purifying power as well. This was, after all, a gift from Master. Mu Beimei swept his spirit sense through the stone after receiving it. A look of disappointment filled his eyes as he could clearly sense that this was indeed a very ordinary profound stone. Furthermore, it had purified the area at great speed, and they were with Xianxia the whole time. It was impossible for him to switch it out right under their noses. Mu Beimei believed Xianxia and returned it to him. It is quite a pity, but this underground palace managed to birth the immortal Emperor Grass, which means that there are definitely many other wonderful opportunities within it. The gains might even exceed that of this special stone. Xianxia nodded. Junior also thinks so. As he was about to put away the profound stone, a domineering voice suddenly shouted, "Let this king have a look!" Before Xianxia could respond, that profound stone had disappeared from his palm and appeared in the palm of Emperor Nanli. He looked at it, and with a disappointed snort, he threw it back at Xianxia. "Although it's useless now, it's something your master bestowed on you. Keep it well then." After finishing, he took a big step towards the stone door. After seeing both their responses, Han Quan naturally felt no interest in the divine stone any longer and swiftly followed after Emperor Nanli. The stone door was several tens of meters high, and it had a very ancient aura around it. Although it had been here for a long time, there wasn't a speck of dust on its surface. A series of strange symbols was carved upon it, but there was no aura indication that it was a profound formation. Perhaps it once did, but due to the endless years it had completely dissipated. Looks like there isn't any seal. After observing it for a while, Emperor Nanli suddenly reached out. A huge burst of profound energy charged at the stone door. Boom! There weren't any obstructions or strange developments like they had expected. Under the testing palm of Emperor Nanli, the thick and heavy stone door shattered, sending rubble flying in every direction. In front of their eyes, rays of bright light shone into the dark passageway they were in. All four of them were stunned. This place was very deep underground. Darkness and the absence of light was a given, but in front of them was light that seemed to come from the outside. Behind the door wasn't some ruins or the remnants of an ancient palace that was filled with heavy, turbid air. It was actually a vast and immeasurable green land. There was running water, the sound of birds chirping, and even the scent of grace wafted through the air. The clean and fresh air that was carried by the wind was such a stark contrast to the thick and turbid air that they couldn't make sense of the situation. "This is a secret realm within a secret realm?" Mu Beimei said in a low voice after he stood still for a long while with the other two realm kings. The illusory sea ancient realm was originally an independent world left behind since the era of gods, but the scenery before them wasn't some underground palace like they expected. It was obviously a completely independent world. An independent world established within an independent world. This meant that this was the third layer world. That's right. However, it isn't entirely independent. The aura of this place seems to be connected to the laws of the illusory sea ancient realm, or else we wouldn't have been able to sense the presence of the immortal Emperor Grass, Han Quan calmly said. "Ha ha ha ha, this is wonderful." Emperor Nanli laughed and stepped across the stone door. Mu Beimei and Han Quan refused to be left behind and immediately followed after. Xianxia was about to follow behind them, but his brows suddenly twitched. He fiercely turned around, staring at the darkness behind them. His strange actions aroused the attention of Mu Beimei. He turned around and asked, "Little brother, what's the matter?" Xianxia turned around and shook his head. "Nothing much, probably because of the airflow. My imagination was probably acting up. I felt as if there was someone behind us." Mu Beimei's gaze and spirit sense then swept the area in behind them. He chortled, "Beside the four of us, it's impossible for anyone else to be present. Come in already." It was a vast and open world full of lush greenery. Even with a divine king's vision, they were unable to see to the end. The air was so pure that it formed a great contrast with the turbid air they had been surrounded in earlier. There were all sorts of exotic flowers and vegetation around. As far as the eye could see, this seemed like a secret realm of immortals. They could hardly believe that they were supposed to be in the deep and dark underground. The myriad worlds truly did hold many wonders within them. A secret realm within a secret realm. This was another eye-opener for Xianxia. The three great realm kings in front of him rose into the air. They didn't have the heart to enjoy the scenery. They released their spirit senses to their limits, scanning their surroundings. Heh, that's it all right. This high-ranking aura, it's undoubtedly the immortal Emperor Grass. Emperor Nanli cried in excitement. The aura fits the bill, but don't get happy so early. It's the emperor among grasses. It could disperse its aura over several types of flora and fauna, camouflaging itself. Finding it won't be easy, and I'm afraid an old fox like you won't have such luck, Mu Xuanyin said unabashedly. Emperor Nanli couldn't be bothered to retort. He turned around and swifting flew in a certain direction. Han Quan did not speak and flew toward a different direction. Mu Xuanyin didn't immediately fly off. He turned to Yun Qi and smiled. Ling Yun, us being able to enter this land is all thanks to your efforts. Since we've agreed beforehand, we naturally won't go back on our words. The aura of the immortal Emperor Grass on the outside is so thin, yet it's thick as can be here. There is no doubt that it is here. If it's your good fortune to find the immortal Emperor Grass, then it'll belong to you. This king will not forcefully snatch it from you. If those two change their minds, this king will not allow it. You can rest at ease and search for it. Yun Qi expressed his gratitude and bowed in excitement. Understood. Island Master Mu is benevolent beyond measure. This junior greatly respects you. I thank you for giving me this opportunity. Mu Xuanyin laughed and shook his head. Don't mention it. If not for you, the three of us wouldn't even have been able to enter. If thanks are to be made, we should thank you instead. However, with regards to the immortal Emperor Grass, you're still very young. In terms of searching ability, I'm afraid you can't compare to us three old fellows, so make sure that you not forget to take notice of other opportunities should they present themselves. Thank you for the advice, Island Master Mu, Yun Qi replied. Amen. Mu Xuanyin nodded before turning around to take flight, heading in a direction completely different from the other two. After the three great realm kings left his sight, the expression on Yun Qi's face totally vanished. He lifted his left hand and looked at his palm. A green light quietly flickered. Based on the Sky Poison Pearl's response, he lifted his head. He looked straight ahead of where he was, the corners of his mouth pulling into a smile. It's very close, the immortal Emperor Grass, it's mine. Yun Qi started flying straight ahead. Mu Xuanyin wasn't wrong. This place could birth the immortal Emperor Grass, and it would have several other high-ranking treasures of the heavens and earth. But Yun Qi wasn't distracted. He rushed straight in the direction the Sky Poison Pearl pointed him, as if him taking 1 second later in retrieving it would spell the other three great realm kings being able to snatch it from him. He had to get the immortal Emperor Grass. As long as he could lay his hands on the immortal Emperor Grass, that'd be considered a great task accomplished. Qi went, the flowers and trees all seemed to come to life, as if awakening from a dreamlike state. They released thick and refreshing auras. Although it was his first time seeing them, Yun Qi could call out their names with complete accuracy as well as their distinctive attributes, spirit effects, medicinal effects, everything that could be associated with them. Yun Qi kept a constant watch around him, taking in and observing each and every spirit flower he saw, but did not slow down one bit. The reaction from his Sky Poison Pearl grew stronger and stronger, causing his heart to beat rapidly. It's close by, closer and closer. Once he obtained the immortal Emperor Grass, he could create the Universe Pentajade Pellet. After successfully absorbing it, he would immediately break through to the Divine Tribulation realm. Though Mu Xuanyin had once said that even if he obtained the pellet, he was not at the level in which he was able to completely refine it. She would need to be present to help him with the absorption. However, Yun Qi had time and again forcefully absorbed similar pellets and items that other profound experts at the same level wouldn't be able to. He had complete faith in himself that he'd be able to absorb it, based on his special profound veins and constitution. Although breaking through consecutively into a large boundary came with several disadvantages, and he had experienced them firsthand. If he broke into the Divine Tribulation realm, he would gain the qualifications to participate in the profound God Convention. He would be able to enter the eternal heaven God realm, which meant he could once again see Jasmine. He was now lacking the last step, and it was an extremely small step away, just an inch more. Yun Qi could not control his thoughts. Jasmine was the reason he had cast aside everything and come to the God realm. He had arrived with hope, but was greeted with disappointment. After which he had heard Mu Xuanyin speak of the Universe Pentajade Pellet, which then reignited his flames of hope. It was right before his eyes. How could he not be excited? The Sky Poison Pearl's reaction intensified even more. Finally, after following a bright flash of green, Yun Qi stopped, his gaze slowly moving downward. There was a stocky, ancient-looking tree that was almost 60 meters tall and about 30 meters thick. There weren't many leaves or branches growing on it. At the top of the ancient tree was a very thick aura that came from a leaf. A strange, flowing light seemed to move around it, as if iridescent moonlight seemingly cascaded all over the green leaf. At this moment, Xianxia's heart ceased to beat as he forgot to breathe. Within Lin's wood spirit soul memories, how could there possibly not be any information on the immortal among all grasses, the immortal emperor grass? It was growing on the ancient tree. It was jade green, thin and long, its blades not even a few inches long as they danced in the wind. If not for the cascading light around it, it would look just like any other ordinary grass, completely unassuming. And this in the entire god realm, even in the upper realms, this was a treasure that could only be obtained in one's dreams, the immortal emperor grass. After taking in a deep breath, Xianxia landed gently on the ancient tree. An existence on the level of the immortal emperor grass had already developed a relatively high level of intelligence and knew how to protect itself. It would extend its aura to all the flowers and grass around it, so even if one knew where the aura was, it was hard to lock down on its position. Once it found a potential threat nearing itself, it would retract all its brightness and turn into what looked like just any other ordinary grass. It could even uproot itself and run away. However, when Xianxia neared, it didn't hide itself nor did it run. Its glory was still shining brightly, its blades wide open, leaning in the direction of Xianxia. Xianxia's body had the power of the royal wood spirits. To something like the immortal emperor grass, that was an incredibly strong and familiar attractive force. Xianxia stretched out his left hand and gently touched the immortal emperor grass. The jade-green light of the sky poison pearl started to surround it. In order to pick the immortal emperor grass, one must take the utmost care, but with the sky poison pearl's presence, every blade and root was perfectly picked within that flash of green light. No damage would be done. The immortal emperor grass, this is the immortal emperor grass, I finally have it. Xianxia's hands were trembling, his heart was racing and shouting. Killin's horn, ancient dragon's heart, wood spirit orb, divine nine-star Buddha jade, and finally, immortal emperor grass. In order to refine a miraculous object like the universe penta jade pellet, all 5 of those materials were necessary, and each was an incomparably hard-to-find treasure. In the Snow Song Realm's Ice Wind Empire, he had easily obtained the Killin's horn. In the Flame God Realm's God-burying Inferno prison, he and his master had both risked their lives in order to obtain the heart of an ancient horned dragon. The wood spirit orb was bestowed by the wood spirits. The divine 9-star Buddha jade was like a pie dropped from the sky. And finally today, the immortal emperor grass was finally in his hands. In less than a year, he had actually managed to gather all the ingredients needed to refine the universe penta jade pellet. Jasmine, as expected, even the heavens want me to see you again. Xianxia whispered to himself, and a strange, warm, and poignant emotion started to stir within him. After arriving in the God realm and experiencing all the storms, dangers, pain, terrors, helplessness, they all seemed to suddenly fade away. After being completely wrapped by the sky poison pearl, the immortal emperor grass was still dazzling. It continued to give off a life force as strong as before, not decreasing in the slightest. Xianxia's hands slightly tightened, then quickly relaxed right away as he slowly suppressed the unceasing waves in his heart at this time. His expression suddenly changed. He suddenly turned around right when the immortal emperor grass was instantly absorbed by the sky poison pearl. A figure landed from the skies, clothed in gold, opulent and eye-catching. He laughed heartily and looked at Xianxia. Oh, you could actually sense me, you are indeed not some simple kid. So it is Emperor Nanli. Xianxia's eyes grew solemn. You were following me? That's right, Emperor Nanli directly admitted. The oddities on you are too many. You entered our 3-star realm's illusory sea ancient realm and ought to have just stayed hidden, but you actually stepped out to save someone who had no relationship with you, which seemed to specifically create an opportunity for old Mu to owe you a favor. Xianxia. Saying that you entered the underground palace through a spatial formation was another oddity. After that, you used that stone to dissipate a poisonous miasma that even the 3 of us couldn't deal with together. That miasma was terrifying. Perhaps only a divine sovereign would be able to get rid of it, but you managed to purify it with just a simple piece of rock. That stone's value should be astronomical, but you voluntarily took it out. Your series of actions told this king 2 things. Firstly, you came here specifically for the immortal Emperor Grass. Secondly, you were likely to have great confidence and a chance in finding it. So based on this king's train of thought, Following behind you might result in some surprise harvest. Hee, looks like it came to pass. Emperor Nanli stretched out his hand. Obediently hand it over, or this king could just casually make a move and take it away from your body. Yun Qi didn't reveal a look of fear and instead smiled. Emperor Nanli, I did indeed come for the immortal Emperor Grass. It is, after all, a treasure one would yearn for even in their dreams. However, you seem to have forgotten one thing. When we entered this place, we all made an agreement. The immortal Emperor Grass will belong to the first person to find it. And whoever it belongs to, the others cannot forcefully snatch it from him. You are the ruler of a nation and a realm king. You're not that untrustworthy and shameless, are you? Heh! Emperor Nanli laughed. This king initially thought being able to accompany the three of us here would mean that you're a smart individual, but who would have thought that you're such a brainless idiot? Tusk, you're too young after all. As his voice trailed off, his smile vanished and he immediately shot toward Yun Qi. Old Fox Nanli, stay your hand. At the same moment, a dark blue profound stream of energy exploded through the air like lightning, turning into countless water arrows shooting straight at Emperor Nanli. Emperor Nanli snorted and waved his golden sleeve, dispersing all the water arrows aimed at him, but he was pushed back a considerable distance by the rebound. He squinted at the sudden appearance of a figure, coldly laughing. Old man Mu, what a coincidence. Mu Beimei arrived on a huge tidal wave and landed on the ground, angrily glaring at Emperor Nanli. Old Fox, what's the meaning of this? As a divine king, you were actually prepared to make a move against a junior 100 times younger than you in age. Are not afraid of losing all face? Hee, Emperor Nanli laughed. Old man Mu, with your intelligence, do you not understand why this king would make a move? He indicated at Yun Qi with his lips. This kid is quite devious. Our senses go far beyond hundreds of kilometers, yet we didn't have anything to show for it. But this boy, the moment he looked for the immortal Emperor Grass, it just so happens to turn up in his hands. Old man Mu, what do you intend to do? Oh, Mu Beimei looked at Yun Qi. Ling Yun, is what he said true? Did you really manage to obtain the... Before he finished speaking, he suddenly turned around, coldly glaring at Emperor Nanli. Since Ling Yun managed to obtain the immortal Emperor Grass, then based on the agreement, it should belong to him. No one is to try and snatch it. Old Fox Nanli, you still have the gall to commit such an act just for a stalk of immortal Emperor Grass. HMPH? Emperor Nanli sneered. The agreement was between the three of us. As for this kid, it was only you who promised him. This king didn't make any promises. If not for Ling Yun, the three of us would not have been even able to enter here, Mu Beimei angrily shouted. Whether you promised or not isn't important, since this king has already given permission, then I will not allow you to forcefully snatch it away from him. If you dare make a move against Ling Yun one more time, don't blame this king for being discourteous. After we leave this place, news will spread and the entire world will know that because of an immortal Emperor Grass, you resorted to such despicable means. I'm afraid your star realm will be shamed because of you. Ha. Emperor Nanli laughed madly. Well said, well said. As expected of old man Mu. This speech of yours is filled with justice and righteousness, how touching. If you carry on speaking, perhaps this king might be so touched that I would start crying and die from shame. What happened? Why has the aura of the immortal Emperor Grass disappeared? A loud, booming voice traveled over, and Han Quan appeared beside Emperor Nanli. The immortal Emperor Grass has been found. It's in that kid's hands. Emperor Nanli chuckled. Sect Master Han Quan, what are you going to do about it? Han Quan's expression changed. He looked at Yun Qi and the Mu Beimei who was beside him, not saying a single word as his face fluctuated. Old Fox Nanli actually betrayed the agreement and tried to ambush Ling Yun. If not for this king rushing over, I'm afraid that Ling Yun would have met his end at his hands. Mu Beimei said seriously, Ling Yun isn't only the savior of this king's son's life. Us being able to enter into this realm is also all thanks to him. He was the first to find the immortal Emperor Grass, and that is fated by the heavens. According to the agreement, the three of us should not snatch it from him. Sect Master Han, I'm guessing you won't be as shameless as old Fox Nanli. Han Quan chuckled, his face seemingly slightly conflicted. I guess Island Master Mu is wise, Han Quan will acquiesce. Then that's settled. Mu Beimei nodded and walked toward Yun Qi with a friendly face. Ling Yun, being able to find the immortal Emperor Grass is your fate. Setting aside the fact that you're the savior of my son's life, this king will also never allow anyone else to snatch the immortal Emperor Grass in your hands. In order to avoid a case where some people are still despicable till the end, this king will bring you away from this place first. Once outside, No one will dare make a move against you. After all, face is important. Xianxia nodded in gratitude. Yes, Island Master Mu. Let's go. Mu Beimei walked in front of Xianxia, stretching out his hand as if he was prepared to activate his profound strength to help send him away from this place. Just as Xianxia reached out with his hand, Mu Beimei suddenly changed his palm into a clawing attack. The initially friendly palm shot out as if it had transformed into a venomous snake awoken by surging profound strength, heading straight for Xianxia's throat. It was obviously a merciless blow meant to take his life. At the same time, an ugly and devious smile spread across Mu Beimei's face. Boom! The jade-green earth was cruelly split apart as the surrounding flora was upended in all directions. The evil smile that had just appeared on Mu Beimei's face suddenly froze. That was because what he grabbed was not Xianxia's broken neck, but a shattered ice image. It was not only Mu Beimei, both Emperor Nanli and Han Quan were equally shocked. Their gaze shifted, promptly looking behind Mu Beimei. Xianxia was standing there in the same posture as before. They were almighty divine kings, but they couldn't clearly see how he managed to appear there at all. Xianxia's eyes grew cold. He sneered and coldly laughed. Mu Beimei, this foxtail of yours is very ugly, eh? A stately divine king executed a lethal attack against a youth in the divine soul realm within a distance of 2 steps, using the most despicable of means, yet only grasping air. Within the bounds of their knowledge, this was completely impossible, something that could not be understood. Mu Beimei slowly turned around. He looked at Xianxia and then saw the disappearing ice image in his hands, his face dark beyond measure. Wonderful, this is so wonderful. Emperor Nanli stared at this strange sight. Old man Mu, to think that this king felt you put on the most perfect of acts, yet this kid has always been on his guard against you. You are a divine king, and yet you can't even ambush a kid in the divine soul realm. What a joke. I think you've thrown your face away for the rest of your life, ha-ha-ha. Heh. Xianxia laughed in a low voice. How could a realm king that's so friendly and without heirs in front of a junior have an unreasonable and spoiled son? From your son's actions, in contrast with that friendly and righteous face of yours, this told me from the very start that you were either shrewd or putting on a false act, or both. Ha-ha-ha-ha, ha-ha-ha-ha. Emperor Nanli joyfully clapped his hands and laughed. Good, well said. Ah, old man Mu, old man Mu. This kid has only known you for 2 hours, but he has managed to grasp your character completely. This is truly marvelous. This king regrets not imprinting this entire scene with a profound imagery stone. It would have provided me with some entertainment every day for the next tens of thousands of years. Ha-ha-ha-ha. Mu Beimei opened his hand. He said solemnly, without shame or anger, You are the direct disciple of the Snow Song Realm King, Mu Xuanyin. Xianxia's body froze on the spot while the faces of Emperor Nanli and Han Quan contorted. What? Why do you say that, Island Master Mu? Han Quan immediately asked. Xianxia's heart was palpitating. How did he recognize me? Unless... The Snow Song Realm has 2 divine arts. One is the Ice Phoenix God Investiture Cannon, and the other is the Moon-Splitting Cascade. Mu Beimei solemnly continued. The art executed wasn't any normal movement skill, otherwise this king would have been able to lock down on his next location with my spirit sense. This means that what he executed was the Snow Song Realm's divine art, Moon-Splitting Cascade. The Ice Phoenix God Investiture Cannon can be cultivated by all the highly ranked chosen disciples of the divine Ice Phoenix sect. Moon-Splitting Cascade, however, rumor has it that only the current Snow Song Realm King, Mu Xuanyin, has managed to master it. This king managed to see it once, and it shocked me greatly. It was an unforgettable sight. Him being able to execute Moon-Splitting Cascade only means one thing. He's received the personal tutelage of the Snow Song Realm King Mu Xuanyin. The 3 ruling sects of the 3 sea worlds cultivated water attribute profound arts, which had the same origins as ice attribute profound arts, and would thus be more familiar with them. The Eastern Divine region's strongest profound ice arts practitioner was Mu Xuanyin of the Snow Song Realm. The 3 of them would definitely know about Mu Xuanyin and the Snow Song Realm. Heh, old man Mu, you must be mistaken. If he was the Snow Song Realm King's direct disciple, why would he come running here all alone? Emperor Nanli asked, though his smile obviously showed a slight change. Being in the divine soul realm and perfectly dodging an ambush of a divine king was something he had neither seen nor heard of. It couldn't be done with an ordinary movement skill. Xianxia was initially shocked, but he recovered and smiled. Island Master Mu is indeed knowledgeable. That's right, the Snow Song Realm King is indeed my master. As he finished saying, a blue glow circulated around him, and an ice phoenix image flashed behind him, bringing along bone-chilling cold energy that didn't dissipate quickly. The ice phoenix god investiture cannon. Emperor Nanli and Han Quan's faces immediately changed. They had never seen moon-splitting cascade, but how could they not recognize the Snow Song Realm's Ice Phoenix God Investiture Cannon? The Snow Song Realm was a middle star realm, something they couldn't afford to offend. The current realm king Mu Xuanyin was even stronger than some of the upper realm kings, and those were absolute ultimate existences. With regards to position in the divine realm, him being her direct disciple meant that his position wasn't beneath any of the three lower star realm kings. In fact, he held some advantage over them. It took them a short while before they recovered from their shock. Their gazes started to slowly calm down. Emperor Nanli immediately continued, "No wonder he has such big guts. He's the personal disciple of the Snow Song Realm King. No wonder, no wonder. Since you now know, then I won't waste any words." Yun Qi's demeanor completely changed into one that was relaxed. "I'll be taking this immortal Emperor Grass with me. As for what just happened, I'll also take it as nothing happened. I'm sure you guys agree." "You want to leave? Heh, I'm afraid it won't be that easy," Mu Beimei coldly laughed. Yun Qi squinted. "What? You're still thinking of snatching the immortal Emperor Grass from me?" No, no, no. This king never said anything about snatching your immortal Emperor Grass." Now that he had shed all pretenses, Mu Beimei's current expression would shock anyone. After all, we all had an agreement before. The immortal Emperor Grass belongs to whoever finds it. No one else is to forcefully snatch it. This king is after all a realm king. How could I break my word and be the subject of jokes? However, we never said anything about not killing you. As long as you're dead, the immortal Emperor Grass will become an ownerless item, and we can easily and justifiably pick it up and take it away. That won't betray the agreement, don't you think? Yun Qi's face darkened and he ridiculed. "I've indeed seen so many shameless old bastards, but someone as shameless and revolting as you is quite rare. Heh, you want to kill me? I forgot to tell you that my body has a soul imprint left on me by my master. As long as I'm dead, my master will immediately know and see all the images prior to my death. Since you already know how grand my master is, you should know her temper isn't very good. When that time comes, not only you all but your families, sects, or even your entire star realms will be annihilated by the anger of my master. Do you really want to test her wrath? Ha 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 ha." Mu Beimei didn't show any surprise and laughed in return. Emperor Nanli and Han Quan both revealed laughter as well. Mu Beimei calmly walked toward Yun Qi. "Ling Yun, this king has to admit that the current you at your age is indeed an outstanding figure, and it's no wonder that the Snow Song Realm King would accept you as her direct disciple. Unfortunately, your experience is too shallow. If this place was any other place than this king would indeed not have the gall to make a move against you. Most likely I'd eventually be buried like you, but this place is an independent world within an independent world. Even if your master has left 100 soul imprints on your consciousness, she will sense nothing after your death." "Heh, such a pity." Emperor Nanli shook his head as if pitying and even feeling a little bit of sympathy. "At first, during the start of the conversation, I thought that perhaps you didn't need to die, but revealing your identity means you definitely have to die." "Ha ha ha." Yun Qi still laughed. "Mu Beimei, although you suddenly ambushed me with a lethal blow, I still don't hold any grudge, nor do I have an unspeakable hatred with you. You were given so much leeway to just back away, but despite knowing my master's prowess, you still harbor venomous designs. Looks like you've steeled your heart to not leave a way out for yourself." He swept Emperor Nanli and Han Quan with a gaze. "The two of you as well. Don't blame me for giving your names to my master herself when I leave this place." "Leave this place? Go ahead." Mu Beimei laughed, and an invisible divine king power locked onto the space where Yun Qi was. "I want to see what ability you have to leave this place alive." Yun Qi lifted his palm, his hand holding a piece of grayish-white profound stone. "Then you'd better not regret it. Ha 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 ha." After looking at the profound stone in Yun Qi's hand, the three realm kings once again thought they were looking at a joke and laughed uproariously together. "You said you're leaving just based on this dimensional stone. You're really a big joke. Looks like your master has never taught you the spatial laws. Dimensional stones only have the ability to tunnel within a single plane of space. You trying to use this here, forget about escaping to the outside. You can't even reach the illusory sea ancient realm layer. Even if you have tens of thousands of them on you, you can never leave this little world. After Mu Beimei had finished speaking, his gaze flickered before shock spread across his face and he screamed, "A void illusion stone?" "What?" Mu Beimei's sudden outburst jolted Emperor Nanli and Han Quan. Their eyes shot looks towards the gray profound stone in Yun Qi's hand. The higher the quality of the dimensional stone, the better ability it had to traverse a longer distance. But no matter how highly ranked a dimensional stone was, it could not pierce through different layers of space. Although the Void Illusion Stone was basically also a dimensional stone, its level was far beyond what any dimensional stone could compare to. Its ability to pierce through space was not restricted at all, as its existence embodied the highest of spatial laws. "It's too late to regret now." Yun Qi laughed and lifted up the Void Illusion Stone. "Ah!" Mu Beimei roared. He retracted the energy locking onto Yun Qi and immediately released his profound energy in an explosive manner, jumping straight towards Yun Qi, an expression of extreme terror on his face. He had confirmed that the opposite party was the Snow Song Realm King's direct disciple. If he escaped, based on the Snow Song Realm King's power and her rumored icy and merciless temper, he would definitely perish once she learned about today's events. Boom! Amidst a thick explosion, Mu Beimei once again grasped air. In his hand was another quickly disappearing ice image. He let out a strange cry and shot out once more. After avoiding the explosion, Yun Qi immediately prepared to direct his energy into the Void Illusion Stone. Although he wore a cold smile on his face, his heart heaved a sigh of relief. After leaving the Darkia realm and entering into the illusory Sea Ancient realm, he never would have thought that he would need to use the Void Illusion Stone. He had to retrieve the immortal Emperor Grass, and he had to leave alive. The former was difficult, the latter was exponentially more difficult. However, having a perfectly good Void Illusion Stone on him meant that he would be able to easily deal with anything might happen in the latter part of his plan. What he had to do was use everything he could to obtain the immortal Emperor Grass. As long as the immortal Emperor Grass fell into his hands, even if he was watched by thousands of eyes, he would definitely be able to leave safely. In the God realm, when it came to price or rarity, the Void Illusion Stone vastly exceeded that of the immortal Emperor Grass. Although he had no hesitation in using it, it was more or less a waste, and at the same time he wasn't sure where the stone would transfer him to. But just as he was about to activate the rock, Yun Qi suddenly felt emptiness within his palm. The Void Illusion Stone had suddenly disappeared, his profound energy that was about to be channeled into it dispersed into thin air. Yun Qi's face twisted in shock, and in front of him Mu Beimei was flying toward him with the full force of a divine king. In about a moment, he was soon to be buried 6 feet under. Ding! A sudden soft and weak, yet soul-piercing sound that was accompanied by a blue glow flashed in front of Mu Beimei. After hitting this blue glow, Mu Beimei's explosive, profound energy completely crumbled, as if his entire person had hit an invisible wall. He was sent flying amidst his dull groan and landed heavily on the ground. This abrupt change startled both Emperor Nanli and Han Quan. Mu Beimei quickly stood up and bellowed, "Who goes there?" After shouting, there was a sudden silence and he stood there, not making another sound. Both Emperor Nanli and Han Quan were a distance away and also motionless, as if they were encased in ice, their eyes darting all around. This initially spring-like little world had suddenly turned incomparably icy and frosty. Every gentle wind seemed to be able to cut through and chill one's bones. As if in a dream, a back figure suddenly appeared before Yun Qi. She was dressed in a snowy robe without any ornaments, yet she possessed an indescribable charisma. Long hair flowing down to her waist, each icy blue strand seeming to contain the magnificence of the purest ice in the world. Below those snowy sleeves were a beautiful pair of jade-like otherworldly hands, which gently held onto the Void Illusion Stone that disappeared from Yun Qi's grasp. Her arrival had heralded an incredible frost, transforming the place into an ice world, bringing complete silence, stopping the wind, and causing the flowers and grass to cease their dance. The flora around her had already lost all color, having turned into crystalline ice flowers. The frost began to spread, and the world seemed to turn into a singular color, becoming even more mesmerizing. Looking slack-jawed at the back figure in front of him, Yun Qi's line of vision turned hazy. At the same time, thousands of complex emotions flooded and roiled within his heart and soul. He couldn't think, his mind was completely blank. After a long period of silence, Yun Qi finally found his voice, only to sourly squeak out, "Ma, stir." The woman in the snow dress slowly turned around. She looked as though she had been carved from ice. Her appearance, which was as beautiful as a fairy, once again appeared in front of Xianxia. Only her expression was one which could plunge anyone into the depths of an icy hell. Her lips slowly uttered the following bone-chilling words: "You still dare to call me master?" If there was anyone in this world who could make Xianxia completely leave his arrogance and pride at the door, it could only be Mu Xuanyin. He slowly kneeled down and lowered his head, not daring to meet that cold gaze of hers which could freeze an entire world. This disciple owes master a debt as big as a mountain. This disciple is unable to even repay a thread of it, and yet I committed the most heinous of mistakes. This disciple is unable to face master. Committing a heinous crime and then leaving, is this something I've taught you? Extreme coldness, anger, and disappointment filled her eyes. Mu Xuanyi's voice started to calm down, but there was an added drilling quality to it. I never thought that you would be a spineless coward who wouldn't assume your responsibilities. You're not fit to be my Mu Xuanyi's disciple at all. Xianxia was unable to retort, and he didn't dare to debate half a sentence of what she said. Slowly, he started to raise his head and his gaze met hers. He softly replied, "During this period where I left master, this disciple has always had master's injury in mind. Today, disciple can finally rest at ease after seeing that master is safe and sound. This disciple knows the immense gravity of his sins. I will wholeheartedly accept whatever punishment comes my way." Mu Xuanyin remained expressionless. She slowly raised her jade-like arm and pressed her palm against Xianxia's forehead. "You've completely disappointed me. This is unforgivable." Ding. A soft sound rang out, as if an ice crystal had shattered. The world in front of Xianxia's eyes started to fall away from grayish-white scenery to that of comatose darkness. His body slowly fell lifelessly to the ground. It was unknown if he was dead or alive. In the cold and silent frosty environment, Mu Xuanyin slowly turned around and swept her eyes across the Mu Beimei trio. Ever since Mu Xuanyin appeared, Mu Beimei, Emperor Nanli, and Han Quan had all remained motionless. It wasn't that they were standing there. They felt as if some inexplicably horrifying, chilling frost had nailed their souls to the spot, making them unable to move, and also not dare to move. This was the one and only time that they had ever felt such a suppression. The name Mu Xuanyin almost made their souls fly out in fright. The earth and sky losing their color and grandeur didn't leave them in awe. It instead left them in extreme terror. That pair of eyes, which was now looking directly in theirs, made them feel as if their souls had plunged into the depths of an icy cold abyss. Song, Snow Song, Realm King. Amongst the three, the one with the highest profound strength was Mu Beimei, who had struggled to even speak. His voice sounded as if a venomous snake had bitten his throat. Congratulations, master and disciple. Meeting once more. We won't disturb you or get in your way. Farewell. Mu Beimei's consciousness was in a somewhat incoherent state. Even he himself wasn't clear about what he said or for how long he spoke. He only wished to leave, but even though he used all his might, he was unable to move even one step, and it only seemed that his body was growing weaker and weaker. Whoosh, a chill wind cut through the deathly silence with a whooshing sound, turning the Mu Beimei trio into three ice sculptures, and then shattering them without a sound, sending the crystal like ice dust flying through the air. In the blink of an eye, three great divine kings, without any cries or struggle, and without any bit of hesitation or pity on Mu Xuanyin's part, three realm kings were turned into nothing amidst the icy frost. It was as if she had merely rubbed away three small mounds of sand. She raised her jade-like arm, with her snowy-looking sleeve fluttering in the wind. A blue light landed from the skies, revealing an enormous frost dragon. Mu Xuanyin threw Xianxia into the mouth of the huge frost dragon, coldly saying, "Go!" The enormous frost dragon let out a low roar and started to fly, soon disappearing from sight. No one knew what its destination was. Mu Xuanyin stood there for a while, not moving. As the enormous frost dragon's aura became more distant, she suddenly turned around, channeling a frost beam which exploded toward a portion of space. "Come out!" Crack, crack, crack. That portion of space froze within a second and actually shattered. Thousands of flowers and grasses were completely decimated. A sudden patch of empty white land appeared within that little world. And within that patch of white, a small little girl, wearing a colorful dress, slowly strode out as she cheerful giggled. "Big sister, you're actually so pretty but so fierce at the same time." If Xianxia was still here and lucid, his jaw would immediately drop. This colorfully dressed girl was actually Little Jasmine. All the ice-cold suppression was gathered on Little Jasmine's body. This little girl, whom Xianxia knew to only be in the Emperor Profound realm, actually caused Mu Xuanyin to take her seriously. Mu Xuanyin had a very grave expression on her face which Xianxia had never seen before. "Who are you, and why are you secretly following him?" Little Jasmine raised her lips. In front of Mu Xuanyin's power, she still didn't give in. "This question should actually be first asked by me. Who are you, and why are you sneakily following him?" "I am his master," Mu Xuanyin replied coldly. "You should have heard everything clearly just now. HMPH, you were so fierce and scolded him, you even knocked him out. How could there be a master like you?" Little Jasmine folded her arms, clearly discontent with the answer. "This is between us, master and disciple. It has nothing to do with you." "What, nothing to do?" "He's my—" As she was speaking halfway, Little Jasmine stopped and pointed at Mu Xuanyin's right hand. "That void illusion stone was given to him by me. For what reason are you snatching it away? Either return it to me or return it to him." Lifting the void illusion stone up, Mu Xuanyin had a quizzical look in her eyes. "You gave this to him. Why would you give him such an item? Who are you, how well do you know him, and what are you scheming?" She was already suspicious about why Xianxia would have such a divine item like the void illusion stone on him. This was something he would never be able to get with his current abilities. "Ah, he's my savior. Is repaying him wrong? I just wanted to give it to him. What's that got to do with you?" "Savior?" Mu Xuanyin's gaze deepened. The figure of an ice phoenix started to appear behind her as an icy white sword also appeared her hand. "Since you won't be honest and tell me the truth, don't blame me for this." The sword was thin and long. It wasn't even an inch thick. It didn't gleam, but it seemed like it was made of snow. Before that increasingly explosive cold energy and the world that was quickly turning completely white, she still had a coquettish smile plastered on her face as she held both hands behind her back. "I'm afraid Big Sister will be unable to." Swoosh. The ice phoenix gave out a long cry, and the snow princess sword flashed, gathering the entire world's brilliance within a single ray of light, instantaneously upturning the entire environment of this little independent world. Thousands of kilometers all around had been enveloped in a blizzard. Amidst the icy snow, the image of an ice phoenix started to rise into the sky, bringing along a world capsizing force, flying like a torrent of water toward the colorfully dressed girl. "Wah, so pretty!" This capsizing force from the ice phoenix was enough to kill a divine king instantly. Little Jasmine's first response was to have a light flash in both her eyes. After a slight exhale, her entire figure disappeared far away. However, as she dodged, the snow princess sword cut through space, shooting directly toward the little girl. That ice phoenix image also changed its trajectory, once again locking onto Little Jasmine's location. "Heh! Since it's like this, Big Sister should play with me and make me happy, okay?" Little Jasmine giggled again, both her eyes releasing a bright blue brilliance. Though her voice sounded weak, it pierced through the ice phoenix's mighty cry. "ZZZN?" Space violently trembled and the blizzard suddenly intensified. If one reached out, they would not be able to see their 5 fingers. Everything in this world, from the trees to the grass, flowers, birds, mountains, and the Great Plains were uprooted. In but a moment, the sky seemed like it was covered in a misty curtain of snow. This was a sight that few people had ever seen in the God realm. Within that snowy curtain, besides an icy blue light darting around, there was an additional white sword beam. Little Jasmine's small figure was dashing around and constantly teleporting through the blizzard. Her hands would move as if they were dancing, a white sword beam streaking out with every action, destroying the sword images and cold lights Mu Xuanyin sent her way. Ding, ding. Boom, ding. The sound of the two forces meeting each other seemed light, but the explosiveness in the sky was that of divine masters. It filled the entire small world, causing the icy mist in this world to never settle. Every time there was an explosive burst of energy, it would be accompanied by an explosive shattering of space within a large radius. Both figures flashed and teleported every moment through tens of kilometers. Spatial tiers and gullies covered both the air and large plains. Before the spatial tiers could mend, even more scars would tear madly throughout the area. Boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Mu Xuanyin's figure slowly turned, completely freezing the surrounding 500 kilometers, with Little Jasmine sealed right at the center of this icy world. However, not even a breath later, the entire space exploded. Tens of thousands of sword beams flew out and then gathered, combining into one sword beam, shooting directly towards Mu Xuanyin. Ding. The white sword shadow clashed against the Princess Snow sword. The sound from the clash of swords caused the skies to crumble and spider web like fissures started to spread out on the large plains below them. The explosion from the clash was now no longer restricted to a 500-kilometer radius. Under both their terrifying and heaven-annihilating strengths, this peaceful and quiet, million-year-old, little world had finally started to crumble. The illusory sea ancient realm had members of the 3 large star worlds roaming throughout it, particularly members of the 3 ruling sects. Though they were carefully going about it, they were greatly excited deep inside. In the heart of the ancient realm, several divine spirit elders were guarding the entrance of the underground palace. No one knew what was going on below. Furthermore, they didn't know that the 3 great realm kings had already died. Boom! Without any prior warning, a thunderous roar that seemed to have come from the 9th heaven exploded forth. The central area of the illusory sea ancient realm suddenly exploded. Within an entire area of 500 kilometers, every living being, even the divine spirit experts of the 3 star worlds and countless smaller profound beasts, were instantly turned to dust. They didn't know how they died, they didn't even realize they had died. Those that were luckier were sent flying and rolling on the ground, scared out of their wits. Sand and dust filled the air. 2 figures flew high up into the sky, both figures emanating an incomparable pressure that suppressed everything below them, causing every living creature to tremble in silence. Mu Xuanyin's snowy garments were devoid of dust. The Princess Snow sword in her hand was a reflection of the ice-cold gleam of her beautiful eyes. A little world that had been good and stable for at least 1,000,000 years, which had also birthed the immortal Emperor Grass, had now been utterly decimated by both their powers. Little Jasmine's face was flushed red, yet she still exuded boisterousness. I've heard before that there's a middle star realm called the Snow Song Realm, and its realm king is so powerful that she can be compared to several realm kings of the upper star realms. At first I was a little dismissive, but it seems like not only is it true, you're even stronger than what the rumors boast. Take out your weapon, Mu Xuanyin coldly said, or else you won't have another chance. No way. Little Jasmine put her hands behind her neck. Even though you're really strong, you're still not qualified to make me go all out. Her crescent-like brows slightly lowered, and her cherry-colored lips coldly moved. If it were half a year ago, I would actually not be your match. Unfortunately, whoosh, a light breeze blew past. But within this brief moment, the temperature of this originally bone-piercing cold world suddenly plummeted at a terrifying rate. It was as though this world had crazily dropped several million layers below the surface of the earth, into an icy hell. Mu Xuanyin's pupils slowly vanished from within her beautiful eyes, replaced by an icy blue radiance. Her hair rose in the air, almost becoming snow-white. With a light wave of her arm, the ice phoenix above her slowly unfolded a pair of ice crystal wings. Eh? Little Jasmine tilted her head, her lips opening. Her eyes widened as her lips formed a large O shape. The coldness that filled the air madly surged alongside the sharp increase in Mu Xuanyin's profound energy. The terrifying cold energy seemed to have reached some kind of critical point as it transformed into a visible energy field, heavily battering and distorting the profound energy domain before Little Jasmine. Slowly but surely, she started to feel the rapid ice-cold energy close in on her. Little Jasmine cried out in surprise. Her always smiling face finally turned serious. Her profound energy domain expanded in size, pushing away all the frost energy within its immediate area, which also decreased the strength of icy frost near it. Ding! A blue light gently flashed, like a twilight from an Arctic breaking dawn. Mu Xuanyin's snowy garments fluttered in the wind, her jade-like arm dancing. Her Princess Snow sword drew hundreds of sword images within a few breaths, as if the entire world's energies were dragged with it, turning the silence into a raging ice storm. The illusory sea ancient realm's atmosphere underwent a huge change. Even within a distance of 500 kilometers, all remaining living beings could only cry out in despair inside the frigid windstorm. At the very heart of the frost and storm gathered a force as great as an icy hell that no normal being could ever fathom in their entire lives, even if they lived their lives 10 times over. Little Jasmine's figure quickly retreated. Her profound energy domain had been suppressed, distorted layer by layer, but it immediately made a full recovery. Be it the icy frost or the destructive energies, not a single bit landed on her incomparably delicate-looking body. However, the amazement and incredibility on her face deepened every moment, until it gradually changed to that of incomprehension. Although she was just a middle star realm king, Mu Xuanyi's name was known throughout all the upper star realms and great king realms. After all, she was a powerful divine master. A star realm which was helmed by a divine master was one that no other star realm could easily offend. But Mu Xuanyi's current demonstration of prowess far exceeded her understanding, vastly eclipsing whatever information and rumors she had heard of her. Under the assault of 1,000 icy blades, Little Jasmine's profound energy domain still held up. To Little Jasmine, this was a given, as her identity and position wouldn't be easily threatened by Mu Xuanyin, even though Mu Xuanyin's ability far exceeded her expectations. Mu Xuanyin could never truly pose a threat, and so Little Jasmine was only using about 30% of her abilities. The icy frost assault continued, but the windstorm and frost beams began to wane, as if maintaining their highest state was proving difficult to maintain. Little Jasmine lifted her head, about to say something, when an ice phoenix cry suddenly sounded. Following that, the ice phoenix wings started to flap. A blue ring of ice started to descend from the sky straight toward Little Jasmine. Within a moment, the entire world had turned blue. What was thought to be the strongest and most extreme state of ice and frost had now exploded exponentially. Little Jasmine's profound energy was immediately suppressed. She was slowly being sealed and began to lose control. Never before seen frost energy that looked like millions of little icy blades pierced through her domain, enveloping her body and piercing straight into her soul, making her cry out in shock. The blue ice ring started to shrink as it lowered, as it suppressed Little Jasmine's profound strength. Soon, it had slowly advanced to about 30 meters from where she stood. Little Jasmine tensed and her face showed a hint of pain. Finally, the gaze in her eyes changed. Her pupils suddenly flashed with an exceptionally dazzling blue light. Boom! The entire ancient realm shook with the explosion. This explosion vastly exceeded any trauma this ancient secret realm had suffered thus far from their fight. All living creatures within the realm lost their sense of hearing in that one moment. The blue ice ring was blown to pieces. All the cold energy within a span of 100 kilometers was dispelled, as if an invisible hand had descended from the heavens and rubbed it all away. What replaced the entire area was the whistling of countless azure lights that flickered like lightning. It was as if Mu Xuanyin was struck by a hammer from the heavens. Her figure shot back by about 50 kilometers. When she stopped, not a single change was found on her snowy face. Ice blue and azure blue. Both colors were close to each other, but it was pretty clear that this ancient secret realm was divided into two parts. Little Jasmine was still in her previous position, but she no longer had her previous complacent look about her. Right now, held within both her small hands, was an extraordinarily huge azure sword. The sword's blade was even bigger than the little girl's body and was twice her height. The thick-looking sword handle made it seem like her hands couldn't hold it properly. Even a 9-foot-high warrior would have a problem wielding such a huge sword, let alone such a petite little girl. However, this sight of girl and sword gave a strange yet synergistic feel, as if they were one, as if it would only hear her voice, moving to her command, allowing her to drive it. Its entire body was made of steel, yet it looked like glass. One moment it shone under the resplendent azure light, the next it looked dark and without light. The handle was a foot long, the blade was incomparably sharp. In the front of the azure sword were two moving blood-like beams, looking like a bloodthirsty wolf with its fangs out. With the greatsword on her, the air around Little Jasmine completely changed. The earlier her was one of carefreeness, naivete, and a liveliness. Now her presence was completely able to suppress Mu Xuanyin's strength, giving off a terrifying air. Her face was now a picture of indifference. Her aura wasn't soft or calm, but rather the complete opposite. It was full of brutality and violence. It seemed as if an ancient devil god had awoken from its slumber within that small body of hers. The skies parted and the earth shook, the oceans roared, and all the living beings prostrated themselves. It looked like the heralding of an overlord's arrival. Dead or alive, everything seemed to be trembling in fear. The heavenly wolf's sacred sword? A glow flickered in Mu Xuanyin's eyes. Little Jasmine didn't reply. Both her small arms were raised, the azure greatsword hung upright in the air. She had no trace of anger or killing intent on her, yet she was exuding a shocking battle intent. It was as if her sword and her strength were made for battle, that once released would shake the heavens. With the greatsword raised, the countless flickering brilliant azure lights started to slowly shifted. The moment the sword pointed to the air, the image of a 50-kilometer blue wolf started to form. What is that? The remnant survivors in the illusory sea ancient realm were looking into the sky, none of them able to stand upright. They stared in fear and awe at the blue wolf, their eyes all as wide as saucers. Mu Xuanyi's icy brows lowered as the look on her face turned serious. She lightly waved her hand, and the Princess Snow's sword started a strange orbit around her. In the blink of an eye, countless little profound formations gathered in front of her. In the center of the 50-kilometer blue wolf, Little Jasmine finally made her move. The azure greatsword chopped downward. Her pink lips moved, her voice still vacant, yet it brought along a soul-shaking coldness and might. Heavenly wolf slash! Awu, the blue wolf howled facing the sky and then directly pounced at Mu Xuanyin. As it approached, it created a long azure streak which didn't dissipate for a long time. If Yunqi were present, he'd definitely be very shocked. This very move was the one which he personally learned from Jasmine. The very first move from the prison god's serious tome, the Heavenly Wolf Slash. But though it was also the Heavenly Wolf Slash, when it came to power, cadence, and concept, it was thousands of leagues beyond Yunqi's. If what Yunqi could display could be considered a candle's worth of might, then this slash from Little Jasmine was equivalent to the boundless galaxy. Mu Xuanyin's figure retreated. Every time she executed moon-splitting cascade, it would leave behind an absolutely pure ice lotus. The 50-kilometer-long heavenly wolf tore through the air. Mu Xuanyin looked exceedingly small and weak under the obscuring might of the wolf's image, but it was also at this moment that 99 beautiful ice lotuses appeared before her. With the point of her sword, all the ice lotuses were released at the same time, filling the sky with an icy brilliance. 9 extremities lotus heart formation. As the world plunged into silence, the brilliance from the icy blue light greatly intensified. 99 ice lotuses started rotating within the blue light like orbiting stars, forming a large star formation, imprisoning the 50-kilometer-wide blue wolf. The blue wolf's image immediately stopped howling as it was firmly sealed by the ice, frozen in midair. Crack! Following that moment of silence, the ice lotuses and the wolf's image exploded at the same time, saturating the sky with blue light. The heavenly wolf's might had decreased substantially, but its remaining power was still just as dreadful. Mu Xuanyin didn't move. The Princess Snow's sword lightly stabbed out, immediately slicing the remaining might of the heavenly wolf in two. Both halves whistled past her sides. Half a breath later, the entire world behind her became a picture of destruction and decimation. Shock surfaced on Little Jasmine's cold face once more. Mu Xuanyin had actually avoided her heavenly wolf sacred sword. This shocked her to the core. Also, when she had unleashed her first move, Mu Xuanyin had directly received it, and it seemed like she hadn't expended much energy upon doing so. To her, this felt inconceivable. The heavenly wolf sacred rose up once more, its second strike chopping forward. Wild Fang! Boom, boom, boom. The world started to tremble even more fiercely. Every living being in every corner of the illusory sea ancient realm could only watch, as an unfathomably huge and powerful blue wolf wrought destruction all over the realm. Boom, crack, crack. A large spatial tear instantly formed, as though it had been struck open by lightning. It stretched out over a third of the secret realm, lasting several breaths without closing. The illusory sea ancient realm wasn't just trembling, it was as if it had reached some sort of boiling point. The skies were overturned and the earth had completely flipped over. Mountains crumbled and the seas were torn apart. The despairing cries of countless creatures were completely silenced before all life was buried within this crumbling world. Be it profound practitioners that entered into this ancient realm or living beings that were born and raised here, all had died without knowing their cause of death. Natural disaster. How could such a terrifying natural disaster appear in this world? How could this power come from a living being? As the ancient realm was nearly split in half by that spatial tear, 2 balls of luminescent blue light were still clearly visible. Little Jasmine's spirit sense traversed hundreds of kilometers, trying to lock onto Mu Xuanyin's location. The Wild Fang, that even stronger than her initial move, still had yet to defeat Mu Xuanyin. It only forced her 100 kilometers back. Another strange light flashed in Little Jasmine's eyes. After that, a greater intent for battle stirred within her bloody, wolfish eyes. Re-yip, re-yip. Space was roughly torn asunder multiple times. Several hundreds of kilometers of space were crossed in the blink of an eye as 2 blue figures constantly clashed in the air, exchanging dozens of moves in but a moment. The image of an ice phoenix and a blue wolf had also finally clashed against each other, turning the skies upside down, destroying the laws of this world. The area around the duo quickly created a natural vacuum of destruction spanning several hundred kilometers. All that touched it instantly disappeared without a trace. As he started to regain consciousness, Mu Xuanyin's figure once again appeared clearly in his mind. Master! Xianxia felt a jolt in his soul and sat straight up. Ah! A surprised exclamation rang out. A voice that belonged to a young woman cried out as she hurriedly ran towards him. Xianxia, you're awake! Looking at that blue-dressed young woman in front of him, Xianxia was in quite a daze. Seen your sister, Xiaolan? He was currently seated on an ice bed. Within sight were the familiar ice crystal embers. The breath coming from his nose felt that familiar pure and clean chilly air. In front of him, the girl that was all smiles was Mu Xuanyin, who he hadn't seen in the longest time. This was the Snow Song Realm's 36th Ice Phoenix Palace. This is great. When you arrived, you were unconscious. I even thought you were injured, but then I noticed that you were completely fine, Mu Xuanyin excitedly said, while staring at him with both her bright and clear eyes. Where did you run off to all this time? Why were you unconscious? Master said that you went traveling outside to train. I thought you'd spend a few more good years before you'd bother to return. Mu Xuanyin was saying quite a lot of stuff. The still dazed Xianxia didn't register what she was saying. He shook his head, trying to recall the scene before he fainted. He asked listlessly, "Where's Master?" "Oh, Sect Master hasn't returned yet. It was Sect Master's Saint Dragon that brought you back here." Looking at Xianxia's strange expression, Mu Xuanyin hesitated a little, but she couldn't contain her curiosity. "Xianxia, did something happen?" Xianxia shook his head, unable to answer. "Xuanyin, leave the room." A soft and gentle voice traveled in. Mu Xuanyin slowly stepped in, her demeanor and gaze as cold as always. "Yes." Although she was curious, Mu Xuanyin still obediently left the room. Mu Xuanyin walked towards him, her gaze turning complicated as she continued looking at Xianxia. Xianxia lowered his head, for the first time not daring to meet Mu Xuanyin's eyes. This was because he knew that he had committed a serious sin. She was his benefactor and, more importantly, Mu Xuanyin's younger sister. "Where did your master find you?" Mu Xuanyin asked, her voice familiar and gentle as ever. "In the east. At the heart of the Illusory Sea Island, there's a secret realm called the Illusory Sea Ancient Realm," Xianxia replied, head still lowered, his conscience still pricking him. "As expected, Xianxia. Where's your master? Why hasn't she returned?" Mu Xuanyin continued asking. Xianxia shook his head. "I don't know, I just saw Master and then I saw her getting angry. Next thing I know, I woke up here." Mu Xuanyin didn't continue asking, but didn't look worried. After all, with Mu Xuanyin's power, regardless of where she went, there was no need to worry about her. Her gaze lifted off Xianxia's body, her chest heaving a little, showing quite obviously that her heart wasn't at rest. Her soft and gentle voice had an added tinge of coldness to it. "Xianxia, everything that you've done in the Flame God realm, I know about it all. Apart from your master, I'm the only one who knows." Xianxia's face darkened. "I know my sin is unpardonable." "You're indeed unpardonable." Mu Xuanyin's voice had some fluctuation to it. She turned around, afraid that if her gaze stayed on Xianxia for too long, her heart that had been icy and cold for 1,000 years would lose control. The Sect Master isn't only the Snow Song Realm King or the Divine Ice Phoenix Sect Master. She's the most powerful person that the Snow Song Realm has ever seen in the last few 100,000 years. Her status is well respected, and she's the strongest, a fact undisputed from ancient times until now. Even an emperor of a country would not dare to look directly at her, let alone be within 100 feet of her. If he were to offend her with even half a sentence, he would not be spared the death sentence. And she's your master. Yet you, even though it was only her back that faced Xianxia, her voice still lost its calm. Her beautiful figure trembled and was only able to recover after a long while. Although that incident happened a long while back, she was still unable to accept it and forgive Xianxia. Even if she was the one that Xianxia had sinned against half a year ago, she wouldn't be as disturbed as she was now. Xianxia's head was still kept down. He didn't refute her, nor was he able to. The Sect Master was gravely injured, and her body was poisoned by the horned dragon's blood. There was no way she could save herself, but you had already brought her away and fled. You could definitely have borrowed the strength of all 3 Flame Sect Masters and easily expelled the horned dragon's blood from her. Why did you still have to? I don't trust them. Xianxia lifted his head and shouted, I was afraid that they would take advantage of Master being injured and hurt her. I also didn't want to have the possibility of negligence, of them making a mistake. He was resentful of the Yan Wongkang trio who had selfishly refused to head out and save her. He hated them so much he even harbored some murderous intent, doubting their motives. Even if they were willing to go all out to save her, there would definitely have been skin contact. With Mu Xuanyi's high and mighty personality, how would she be able to eventually accept it? As he was speaking halfway through, he found himself unable to continue. It was because what he had done to Mu Xuanyin went far beyond ordinary negligence. Apart from borrowing the powers of those 3 sect masters, there's another matter which you don't know about, Mu Bingyun replied. The sect master's body has a large amount of Ice Phoenix soul origin. Although she lost all her profound strength and became delirious, just the ancient horned dragon's blood alone is not enough to threaten her soul or life. Yun Qi lifted his head in shock. What you've committed is the most unforgivable sin in the history of the Snow Song realm. However, it still must be said that before that, you had just saved the sect master's life. Or else, she would have fallen within the ancient god-burying inferno prison. Yun Qi could only look at her back, unable to see her expression, but he could clearly sense the very complex emotions she was having inside. Even so, I am still unable to convince myself to forgive you, Mu Bingyun gently sighed. Your master, she's extremely disappointed and angry at you. I know, Yun Qi replied meekly, and then laughed a self-deprecating laugh. Right now, I no longer have the qualifications to be her disciple. Palace Master Bingyun, you were the one who brought me to the Snow Song realm, and it was you who then looked after me. I will never forget what you've done for me no matter what. It's just that I no longer have any chance to repay you. Mu Xuanyin, the difference between their statuses, Yun Qi couldn't even be considered a little ant compared to her. It was like a wretched beggar soiling a great and majestic empress. He wouldn't be able to redeem himself even if he underwent the punishment of death by 1,000 cuts 10,000 times. He had not only stained her sacred body, he had completely ruined her intact vital yin, needless to say. She was also his master, to whom he owed a huge debt. He could feel the anger in Mu Xuanyin's eyes at that time, and this time he was readily prepared to bear a heavy punishment. He wasn't going to run anymore. Mu Bingyun stayed silent for a while and then said, Do you know why Sect Master went to that place called Illusory Sea Island? She should have sensed my aura, Yun Qi replied. He didn't know how Mu Xuanyin found him. When he was in the Darkia realm, Huo Ruli swore to keep his whereabouts a secret. In the Darkia realm, he used the pseudonym Ling Yun. The only one who knew he was Yun Qi was only Jai Ruyan. In order to prevent others from recognizing that he came from the Snow Song realm, he did not use the Ice Phoenix god investiture canon. Even when he cultivated, he chose the deepest and most aura-obscuring Black Soul Mountain range. No, Mu Bingyun slowly shook her head. Even though she was looking for you this whole while, the god realm is infinitely huge. She couldn't find any trace of you. The reason why she headed towards Illusory Sea Island was because she received news that the immortal Emperor Grass had appeared. In order to prevent others from taking it away, she chose to personally retrieve it. That's because it was absolutely necessary for helping you refine the universe penta jade pellet. Yun Qi sat there in a daze. She glanced at Yun Qi one more time and then slowly walked off, her cold voice drifting. Compared to the grave mistake you made, she's even more disappointed and angry that you just up and went running away. Mu Bingyun left, leaving a frozen Yun Qi behind. It was as if his soul had been sucked out of him. After a long while, he stretched his hand out and placed his palm on his chest. Something in there was violently churning, unable to rest. Master didn't want to kill me. She went there to help me look for the immortal Emperor Grass. For me. Crack, 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 blue light ran amok within the ancient realm. Every phoenix cry and wolf howl triggered the onslaught of turbulent tremors throughout the world, practically turning it on its end. This was an independent small world, a secret realm that had stood the test of time since the era of gods, yet it had now already transformed into a frosty, ruined purgatory. Space was being shattered constantly and living beings were perishing. Even the laws within seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. The ancient realm being on the verge of collapse was something that Mu Xuanyin and Little Jasmine could feel, but their brutal battle still continued, fighting from the east of the world all the way to the west, and then to the end of the south, non-stop. Mu Xuanyin was a powerful divine master, a well-known person within the god realm. The Snow Song realm and their flame god realm neighbor knew more about her strength than anyone. But right now, be it Xianxia, or anyone else in the Divine Ice Phoenix sect, or even the Flame God Realm's 3 sect masters, should any of them witness this sight before them, they would never dare believe their eyes. Although Xianxia had ignored the danger to his life, and saved her during that battle in the ancient god-burying Inferno prison where Mu Xuanyin fell into the trap of the 2 ancient horned dragons, she still suffered severe injuries, and her profound strength had been completely exhausted. Despite being under those conditions, she still managed to forcefully kill one horned dragon and then, using a large amount of blood essence, unleashed Oblivion of Broken Moon. It not only exacerbated her injuries, it caused her to lose a large amount of her cultivation and innate talent. And after that, because of Xianxia, she had lost her Ice Phoenix vital yin. Loss of profound strength, blood essence, innate talent, and vital yin, coupled with heavy injuries. The amount of catastrophic hits she took in every aspect imaginable could be considered the maximum possible. Xianxia estimated that Mu Xuanyin would perhaps be in a coma for many months. As for recovering her profound strength, she'd need many years, perhaps even much longer. Even if she made a recovery, she'd be weaker than before and might never progress in her cultivation ever in this life. To someone at the pinnacle of the profound way, this was without a doubt a bitter and cruel pill to swallow. But this furious battle with Little Jasmine showed that she wasn't even in a recovery state, and neither was her profound strength weak. This was fundamentally impossible. What was even more shocking was that, although her profound strength didn't seem to be crippled in any way, she actually showed a greater fighting ability than when she had battled against the ancient horned dragons. And it was not just a minute increase in strength. Every move she moved contained power terrifying enough to cause the vast ancient realm tremble. It was as if, even if she met 2 or even 3 ancient horned dragons, she could easily exterminate them. The Divine Master Realm was a level that countless profound practitioners of the God Realm would never dare dream of reaching. And within the Divine Master Realm, every step forward required world-shaking amounts of talent and incredible fate. It required eons of hard work that no ordinary person could imagine. Half a year's of time was nothing but the flick of a finger to a divine master. But it was in this half year that the heavily injured Mu Xuanyin made a complete recovery and seemed to even be several times stronger. Not only was she uninjured, unharmed, it seemed that she had undergone a rebirth. This change that completely overrode all common sense. Even if it was a ruler of a king realm, an existence at the summit of the primal chaos, they wouldn't believe it either. Little Jasmine's strength continued to increase. The power from every sword strike seemed to turn the secret realm upside down, yet it couldn't suppress Mu Xuanyin at all. More and more shock emerged from her eyes. Finally, an explosive scarlet-like bloodlight shone out from her eyes. Blood Moon Immortal Slayer Sword! The image of the heavenly wolf appeared once more, but it was no longer blue. It looked like it had risen out of a blood pool from hell. Its entire body was blood red, especially its furious wolfish pupils that looked like 2 bright bloody moons, which seemed like they could annihilate worlds with just their light alone. Mu Xuanyin's snowy dress was still fluttering in the wind, making her look like a celestial goddess that descended from the moon. Even if the entire world was turned upside down, not even a speck of dust would land on her. When the Snow Princess sword pointed out, all beings froze in place. 9 ice rings formed and then overlapped, creating a large frosty formation that fell toward the bloody wolf image. Ding, in the blink of an eye, the entire world lost both luster and sound. Everything within the secret realm, from the large ocean to the vast plains, from boulders to even the smallest grain of sand, everything was completely sealed, turned into profound ice, before instantly shattering. An endless wave of dust blew all over the shattered world. Crack, crack, crack. Thousands of spatial tears started appearing all around, madly extending themselves, reaching into and combining with each other, and then growing larger. Following the sound of complete destruction, the illusory sea ancient realm, which had held on thus far, had finally collapsed. Weak point, an independent secret realm crumbling usually would not affect the external world, but the damage and crumbling of the illusory sea ancient realm was too grievous. Its disintegration immediately caused an unimaginably berserk spatial turbulence. Massive spatial tears, numbering in the hundreds of thousands, swallowed the entire illusory sea island in one breath. The disciples of the 3-star realms that were guarding illusory sea island didn't have any time to respond and were swallowed whole into the dimensional tier, disappearing alongside illusory sea island. The once calm and quiet sea had countless hurricanes and tidal waves coursing across it, as the wildly fluctuating spatial tiers swallowed illusory sea island. News of the immortal Emperor Grass being on the illusory sea island had long since been spread, and at this moment, a large number of strong powers from neighboring star realms were at all four corners of the sea. Some were even members of middle star realms. The hurricanes and tidal waves gave everyone a shock, but before they could even send out their spirit sense to investigate, their faces recoiled in horror. Their initially speeding bodies suddenly stopping dead in their tracks, not daring to go one step further. This was because in this world before them, an immense and frightening pressure was roiling about, wild and unchecked. Daring to come here meant that they were existences at the top of their respective realms, but they felt as if they were rendered down to being mere ants in front of this wave of power. Fear penetrated every part of them, all the way to their souls, leaving them trembling. They didn't dare to move forward, nor did they dare to retreat. What power is this? An old expert in the divine king realm said, trembling. Don't tell me some divine master has arrived. This thought flashed across everyone's minds, leaving them pale as sheets and feeling 1,000 times more afraid than before. Divine master, the very pinnacle of the divine way, the existence closest to a god in all of the primal chaos. The god realm's countless experts had all heard the legends of the divine masters, but being able to see one in the flesh was something they might not see in their entire lives, let alone feel the suppression and might of one personally. And this time, the aura and force they felt was terrifying. It exceeded anything they had ever known about the profound way. It was as if the very heavens were submerged by this terrifying power, and in front of this power, even if they were to spend all the time in the next half of their lives training, they would still fall short in every possible way compared to this power. The words Divine Master currently appeared in each and every one of their hearts. The spatial tiers mended itself. Illusory Sea Island had completely vanished, not leaving a single grain of sand behind. The raging hurricanes and furious tidal waves also started to gradually die down. After that, the suppression and pressure that each of those experts felt in their hearts and souls suddenly disappeared. Everyone in the vicinity felt their bodies relax, as if thousands of mountains pressing down on them had been lifted, but the shock in their eyes had not reduced one bit. They all turned around and started to withdraw to where they came from at their fastest speeds, not one of them daring to go forward even half a step. Above the vanished illusory sea island, Mu Xuanyin and Little Jasmine were standing and staring at each other on opposite sides. The sea around them was churning, but the sea that was directly beneath their feet was as flat as a mirror, without a single ripple. Profound energy was still being released by the duo, but they both curbed the profound lights being emitted and no longer continued to exchange blows. After a short period of silence, Mu Xuanyin coldly spoke. Princess Xianxia, youngest daughter of the Star God Realm King, born with a weak body and the most ordinary out of all the sons and daughters of the Star God Realm King. You were given the cold treatment especially since your mother died young, but 5 years ago you perfectly assimilated the power of the Heavenly Wolf Star God, and were rumored to be the one in the history of the Star God Realm to achieve a perfect assimilation. I never would have realized that I would one day get to exchange blows with the Heavenly Wolf Star God. The blood-colored wolf eyes on top of the Heavenly Wolf sacred sword closed, and following a flash of blue light, the sword disappeared from Little Jasmine's hands. After putting away the Heavenly Wolf sacred sword, the air around Little Jasmine immediately changed, her eyes regaining their liveliness. With regards to Mu Xuanyin accurately guessing her identity and name, she wasn't the least bit startled. Her lips fluttered and she folded both her hands against her chest, muttering, "You're not only blessed to exchange blows with this princess, you weren't even defeated. You must be really pleased to death in your heart." Mu Xuanyin. But. Little Jasmine's voice suddenly grew louder. Both her round eyes were staring straight at Mu Xuanyin. "You. Why are you so powerful? Are you really just the realm king of a middle star realm? This princess has seen all the realm kings of the upper star realms, but I can count those that are just powerful as you with both sets of fingers. And the information about you states with certainty that you're a rank 4 divine master. Why are you so strong? Even if everyone else in your star realm are little cats and dogs, just based on you alone, you have the qualifications to make your realm an upper star realm. Why is the Snow Song realm still a middle star realm? Have you been hiding your strength all along? If anyone knew that the Snow Song realm had such a powerful individual, even my royal father would jump in fright. The entire eastern divine region would all be surprised, and the upper star realms would definitely have one more realm joining them. None of your business. Mu Xuanyin gave her a cold gaze and put away her snow princess sword. She pointed at Little Jasmine, disregarding the fact that the other party was the Princess Xianxia thousands of realms would have to bow to. Answer my question from before. Why are you stealthily following him? Princess Xianxia tilted her head. HMPH, no way. I'm happily following him, you can't keep me from it. Ha, you have some gall, you know this princess's identity, and yet you're so disrespectful, aren't you afraid of angering me? Mu Xuanyin stared at her coldly. Unless you know about his relationship with your sister. Mu Xuanyin decided to test her with this question, causing Princess Xianxia's eyebrows to jump. Her expression did a 180-degree turn. How do you know? Of course, Mu Xuanyin frowned. With regards to him, what else do you know? Princess Xianxia opened her mouth wide and then started to rattle on. I know his name is Yunqi. He comes from a very distant lower realm. He came to the God realm to look for my big sister, and I even know he came here to look for the immortal Emperor Grass so that he can see her again. Every word Princess Xianxia spoke caused Mu Xuanyin's eyes to grow colder and colder. How do you know about all of this? He would never tell these matters to anyone else. Then how do you know? I'm his master, Mu Xuanyin coldly stated. I know everything that has to do with him. Ding. The Snow Princess sword released an icy radiance, enshrouding Princess Xianxia within its brilliance. Now it's time for you to answer my question. He would definitely not tell you all this of his own volition. What method did you use to find out? And what other weak points does he have? Weak point. Looking at Mu Xuanyin's serious expression and feeling the cold intent from her sword light, Princess Xianxia finally understood why. Her expression relaxed at once and she laughed. You really care a lot about him, huh? I'm his master, of course I care about him. Then why were you so fierce to him just now and you even? Answer my question. Mu Xuanyin's tone grew even frostier. All right. Princess Xianxia's alertness and tenseness had all disappeared. She giggled. It seems like you're really very concerned about him, and the fact that he willingly told you about Big Sister means that he definitely trusts you. Mu Xuanyin, Princess Xianxia continued. Actually, it isn't some weak point, just a little coincidence, that's all. Coincidence? Was it about half a year ago? This princess sneaked out to play and met a bad uncle. This princess initially wanted to mess with that bad uncle, but he suddenly rushed over and helped this princess scare away that bad uncle. Princess Xianxia lifted and wiggled her nose. When he scared that bad uncle away, he used the first move of the prison god Serious Tome, you know. Mu Xuanyin tightened her gaze on her. That sword had form and power but no substance. He even mixed in some flame energy. Others couldn't tell, but this princess is the heavenly star wolf god, and I'm the mostest familiar with the prison god Serious Tome. After Big Brother died, those who are able to display the prison god Serious Tome is basically this princess alone. But Big Sister told me that there is one more person in the entire world. Not only does he not need to borrow the heavenly star god Wolf's power and bloodline, he actually successfully cultivated the prison god Serious Tome, though it's only the first sword style. There was such a thing? The Snow Princess sword was slowly lowered, and the aura around Mu Xuanyin was slowly withdrawn. She didn't know that Yunqi's body held another secret, the legacy of the heavenly wolf star god. To be able to forcibly cultivate the prison god Serious Tome without having the strength nor the bloodline of the heavenly wolf star god. Even if it was only the first sword style, only Yunqi, who had the profound veins of the evil god, could do such a thing. She definitely believed that Yunqi would never tell anyone else about his relationship with Jasmine, because once it spread to the star god realm, the consequences would be severe. Therefore, she had to know whether there were any weak points on his body that allowed Princess Xianxia to focus her attention on him. So it was actually because of such a strange coincidence. To save the heavenly wolf star god, he had actually used prison god Serious Tome. At first, I couldn't confirm that he was the person Big Sister talked about, so this princess continued to follow him and eventually found out that he really fit the bill. Not long after, this princess knew that he definitely was that man that Big Sister talked about. In order to look for Big Sister, he ran here to the God realm. This princess was actually a little moved by his actions, and so I decided to follow behind him to protect him, to prevent him from dying before he could even meet Big Sister. But he actually has such a powerful master like you. It seems like this princess no longer needs to worry about him dying. I can then go back and accompany Big Sister. What else did your Big Sister say about him? Besides you, has she told anyone else? Mu Xuanyin continued with her line of questioning. Big sister said a whole lot, way, more than what you can imagine. But she only told me and only me. Princess Keizai smiled. I have royal father and a lot of uncles, big brothers, and big sisters, but big sister is my one and only kin. And to big sister, I'm her one and only kin as well. She laughed a shallow laugh, and there was a trace of awkwardness behind that laugh. Mu Xuanyin actually managed to grasp some loneliness within that laugh. Big sister often suddenly goes into a daze. She would time and again speak of matters related to him. Big sister is willing to give me everything, with the only exception of that red dress, which she would often hug. She doesn't even let me touch it. As long as it has to do with him, big sister will become someone completely different. I've always wanted to know what kind of man he was that could incite such a large change in my big sister. Big sister even said that in this life and this universe, she would no longer be able to meet him. But I know that if she does manage to see him again, she will definitely be very happy. Even though she's... As for what she wanted to continue saying, Princess Keizai suddenly stopped herself and didn't continue. Mu Xuanyin had retracted her entire profound aura. Her gaze returned to its normal calm and only some complex emotions ran deep within. Have you told your sister about his arrival in the God realm? Of course not, Princess Keizai replied without hesitation. You had better not tell anyone else either. I don't need you to remind me. Mu Xuanyin huffed in a cold voice, the caution and suspicion in her heart finally dispelled. She didn't tarry nor did she continue speaking. She immediately turned around and flew off. Her heart, however, held a deep shock. Princess Keizai, based on the rumors, she had successfully received the inheritance of the Heavenly Wolf Star God 5 years ago and became the new Heavenly Wolf Star God. Within the short span of 5 years, her powers should be in the early stages, yet the ability she had displayed was so strong. If another 5 years, 10 years, 100 years, once she finished assimilating all the strength of the Heavenly Wolf, to what degree would her strength raise? This was simply unfathomable. Rumor had it that she might become the strongest star god in all of the star god realm. It seemed to not just be empty talk. Ah, wait! A colorful figure suddenly appeared in front of Mu Xuanyin. It was Princess Keizai who appeared and was standing in her way. Big sister, this princess sincerely answered all your questions, but could you also sincerely answer one of my questions? What question? Princess Keizai suddenly stiffened. Her face became a little shy and a slight shade of red tinged her face. She seemed to be at a loss for words. She looked at Mu Xuanyin's tattered and torn snow robe and then looked at her own flat chest area. Then she finally raised her courage and asked, How do I, when I grow up, how do I become as voluptuous and curvy as you both back and front? Mu Xuanyin. Sacred region, snow flew around in the arcs of a rainbow. The news of Xianxia coming back didn't cause any disturbance in Divine Ice Phoenix sect. After all, it was known to everyone that the ancient horned dragon had been successfully killed while Mu Xuanyin was injured in the process, and had been undergoing secluded cultivation since her return to the sect. Xianxia, however, was left in the outside world to gain experience. The members of Divine Ice Phoenix sect were actually surprised to see him returning so soon. The reason being that it was very common for direct disciples to travel outside and accumulate experience for 8 to 10 years. As for the incident that happened at the God-burying Inferno prison, no one knew about it, except for the 3 sects of the Flame God realm, Mu Xuanyin, Mu Bingyun, and Mu Xuanyin. Others were only aware of the result. The ancient horned dragon was killed and Mu Xuanyin was injured. However, everyone from the Flame God realm who had witnessed Xianxia unbalancing the ancient horned dragon with a single swing of his sword, causing it to reveal a fatal opening, and then saving Mu Xuanyin would definitely remember it for the rest of their lives. Returning to the Ice Phoenix Sacred Hall, Xianxia felt as if he had been away from the place for a lifetime, even though it had only been half a year since he left. It was because he hadn't had any real hope of returning to this place alive when he fled from the Flame God realm. Being the supreme holy land in the entire Snow Song realm, only he and Mu Xuanyin could come and go whenever they wanted. Even Mu Bingyun's visits were extremely rare. Having committed a sin as great as that, he shouldn't have the qualification to step into this place any longer. Does Master truly not intend to kill me? Xianxia mumbled absent-mindedly. He was very clear that he had committed a great and unforgivable sin. Even an ordinary woman wouldn't forgive him, let alone her, not to mention that she was his master, the commander of a realm, the Snow Song Realm King. You're this afraid of death? As Xianxia was feeling depressed, A thoroughly ice-cold voice sounded by his ear. Xianxi's whole body turned stiff for a few breaths before he turned around. He didn't dare raise his head to look at the source of the voice, and knelt down with his head bowed. Disciple Xianxi pays respect to master. Mu Xuanyin was dressed in a long skirt, and there were snow-white feathers hanging down from her shoulders. Her extremely beautiful eyes were emitting ice-cold, bone-piercing light. Why have you not attempted to flee this time? Xianxi moved his lips to speak, but failed to utter a word in response even after a very long time. The world seemed to have quieted down, with only the sound of the snow drifting on the wind. Mu Xuanyin quietly looked at Xianxi. He had never once lowered his head so much in front of her when he had greeted her in the past. No matter the time, even in her presence, he was never able to keep his almost inherent unruliness in check. But others lowered their heads and shivered when facing her due to being afraid of her. However, Xianxi did not feel fear but a deep sense of guilt towards Mu Xuanyin. Her pupils unconsciously shifted to the side. She was no longer able to maintain the ice-cold attitude from before. The feeling of fear has mainly to do with concern for oneself, but a person felt guilty when they were concerned for the other person involved. Forget it! A voice slowly drifted by his ears before he heard a very light sigh. Although you have committed a grave sin, it was to save the life of your master. Hence, I deem your meritorious work enough to offset the sin you committed. Get up. Xianxi looked on blankly downward, unable to believe his ears for a short while. He got up to his feet dumbfounded with his head still lowered. He had no idea how to face Mu Xuanyin after that incident, even if she forgave him. A long time passed, but he didn't hear anything else from her. Eventually, he slowly raised his head to see the absolutely beautiful back of her bathing in the flying snow. Compared to Xianxi, perhaps it was even more difficult for Mu Xuanyin to face him. The world seemed to have quieted down once again. This time, even the sound of the drifting snow was barely audible. Mu Xuanyin remained silent for quite some time, and Xianxi naturally didn't dare to utter a word. He had never come across such a stiff, helpless situation in his 2 lives. Finally, Mu Xuanyin slowly turned around. Her pupils had regained the serene chilliness of a cold pool. Take out the Qilin horn, the heart of a horned dragon, and the immortal emperor grass you have just obtained. Yes, Xianxi promptly responded. He didn't ask the reason, and one by one took out the things she had mentioned. The Qilin horn was huge and heavy, emitting a faint, primitive aura. The heart of a horned dragon was still beating intensely. Every time it beat, it would unleash incomparably blazing flames. Just after taking it out for a few breaths, the snowy area around it had melted to a great extent. The immortal emperor grass was wrapped up in the purification light of the sky-poison pearl, with not the slightest bit of its aura leaking out. Mu Xuanyin swept her gaze over the 3 things before saying in an indifferent tone, "It seems only divine 9-star Buddha jade and wood spirit orb are left." Xianxi didn't hesitate as he replied immediately, "Master, this disciple has, in fact, already obtained them too." Mu Xuanyin slightly raised her icy brows. Xianxi took out the divine 9-star Buddha jade and the wood spirit orb right after finishing his words. The moment the 2 things appeared before her eyes, the look in Mu Xuanyin's eyes underwent an obvious change as she noticed their unusual radiance and auras. She even blurted out in surprise when her spirit sense swept over the wood spirit orb. "A perfect wood spirit orb? Just where did you obtain it?" Reporting to Master. About the wood spirit orb. Thinking back to the wood spirits that had died due to him, the tone of Xianxi's voice lowered on its own. "This disciple bought a young wood spirit at an underground merchant guild in the Darkia realm. However, unable to forcibly take away its wood spirit orb, this disciple sent it back to a hidden place. This wood spirit orb was presented by a senior wood spirit at that place." Mu Xuanyin was evidently taken aback. As for the divine 9-star Buddha jade, this disciple just happened to pick it up from the corpse of the Darkia realm king. Picked it up from the corpse of the Darkia realm king? Mu Xuanyin wrinkled her brows, clearly finding what she heard incomprehensible. It does sound unimaginable, but this disciple wouldn't dare speak any lies. Oh, that's right. This disciple also found the void illusion stone that I almost pinched to pieces earlier in the secret realm, together with the divine 9-star Buddha jade on the corpse of the Darkia realm king. Xianxi told her everything honestly. I see. Mu Xuanyin had already understood that it was because of Princess Keizai secretly doing her things that Xianxi was able to pick up the divine 9-star Buddha jade and the void illusion stone. The death of the Darkia realm king was definitely related to her. even if she wasn't the one who killed him. With a flick of her snow-white sleeve, the Kilin Horn, Heart of Horned Dragon, Immortal Emperor Grass, as well as the divine 9-star Buddha Jade and Wood Spirit Orb in Xianxia's hand disappeared in an instant. Mu Xuanyin put all of them away inside her portable space, not giving Xianxia any time to react. The matter of obtaining a Universe Penta Jade pellet is one of incomparably tremendous difficulty, and so it must not have been easy for you to be able to gather the 5 treasures in such a short period of time. Mu Xuanyin slightly changed the tone of her voice. Your grave sin could be overlooked due to the meritorious deed, but turning your back to your master and sect, and fleeing away after committing the mistake, can't be easily forgiven. You can forget about the Universe Penta Jade pellet now. Xianxia opened his mouth to say something, but then lowered his head. Understood, there's less than 2 years' time until the Profound God Convention. Mu Xuanyin continued, with your initial cultivation speed, it would have certainly been impossible for you to step into the divine tribulation realm before the arrival of the Profound God Convention by solely spending your time cultivating. But after obtaining my Ice Phoenix Vital Yin, you're already at the divine soul realm. As such, even without the Universe Penta Jade pellet, you may be able to reach the divine tribulation realm with my assistance. Xianxia immediately quivered and suddenly raised his head when the 4 words, Ice Phoenix Vital Yin, came from Mu Xuanyin's mouth. But he discovered that there was a cold and aloof look on her face, completely devoid of any emotions. It was as if she was talking about an extremely dull topic. Originally, you had just entered the divine way, and had yet to thoroughly understand the divine origin realm when you stepped straight into the divine soul realm. How can the profoundness of the divine way possibly be comparable to the mortal way that you had walked on before? Although your profound strength experienced a dramatic increase, such abrupt amplification left behind endless aftereffects. Furthermore, as a result of your comprehension of the profound way falling behind the cultivation level you have, it has become 100 times more difficult for you to progress any further. If you were to once again forcibly increase your cultivation with the help of the Universe Penta Jade pellet, although it'll help you to reach the heights you wish to reach in one step, the severity of its consequences will be far beyond your imagination, even if you have the heretic god's profound veins. Mu Xuanyin's gaze brushed past Xianxia. You must have sensed it too. Yes, Xianxia answered obediently. Ever since the time he had succeeded in reaching the divine soul realm in a night's time because of Mu Xuanyin's Ice Phoenix Vital Yin, his profound strength had stayed stagnant at the 2nd level of the divine soul realm. There was almost no progress during the next half year. From today onwards, you're not allowed to take even a step out of this sacred region. You will be spending your time comprehending the way and its essence for 4 hours each day. Then 4 more hours on tempering your body and 12 hours on cultivation. Master will once again help you with the comprehension of the divine way, as well as teach you the Ice Phoenix God investiture canon. You're not allowed to see anyone and should only spend your time on cultivation. You're also not allowed to go anywhere else. You must not let yourself get distracted by other thoughts. Each and every action should be in accordance with my will. You're not permitted to show even the slightest bit of disobedience. There were no emotions in her icy pupils. Only a chilly might and harshness that didn't allow for any disobedience or doubt could be seen in them. This is your well-deserved punishment, and also your sole opportunity to enter the eternal heaven-divine realm. You need to follow my orders, whether you agree with me or not. Even though Mu Xuanyin had been quite strict with him in the past, she had never once restricted his freedom. But her strict order this time was completely equivalent to her intending to imprison him within the Ice Phoenix sacred region. Xianxia was dumbstruck for a moment, but he replied in a heavy tone, Understood, this disciple will abide Master's orders. That be for the best. She seemed to be surprised at Xianxia agreeing without any objections. Mu Xuanyin silently gave him a glance. Go to the heavenly Netherfrost Lake and temper your body for 6 hours. Afterwards, come to the sacred hall to look for me. With that, Mu Xuanyin flew up into the sky. Following her figure turning around to leave, the direction of the snow drifting in the entire sacred region changed all at once too. Master, Xianxia called out suddenly. His voice contained the sense of doubt and deep concern. Have your injuries completely healed? Back then, Mu Xuanyin had suffered severe injuries and damage. Moreover, she had also lost her vital yin. Even if her injuries had fully healed, her profound energy was bound to experience a great fall. Therefore, her aura should have been far weaker than the past. But the feeling Mu Xuanyin was giving off at this time was even more indiscernible and hazy than before. Mu Xuanyin's figure stopped in its tracks. She plainly replied without turning her head around. Master's body contains the divine soul of the ice phoenix that was bestowed by the ancestor. It took the hard cultivation of 10,000 years to somehow awaken 30% of its divine power. But in this short period of half a year, 70% of the power awakened all of a sudden. Not only have the injuries completely healed, my profound strength has also undergone a great increase. Therefore, you don't need to be worried about such things. You'd better be concerned about yourself. As he was facing her back, Xianxia didn't catch sight of the incomparably complicated look in the eyes of Mu Xuanyin when she spoke those words. Xianxia revealed surprise before saying in a glad voice, "Most likely, it's because back then Master had her all means of retreat cut off, which actually resulted in stimulating the soul to awakening. Master has certainly received the blessing of the heaven and earth to be able to gain such a positive outcome from that disaster." Not only the movement of her eyes, Mu Xuanyin's breathing also halted for a few breaths. Soon after, she let out light humph and walked on the snow as she flew away into the sky. Her figure quickly disappeared in the midst of the snow, flying all over the place. A void illusion stone came falling down from the sky, as it lightly dropped on the ground beside Xianxia. Having found out that Mu Xuanyin was safe and sound, and even her profound strength had increased significantly, Xianxia felt sincere happiness in his heart. He let out a heavy sigh of relief and sat down on the snowy ground. Picking up the void illusion stone beside his hand, his whole being was feeling incomparable relaxed. Since the time he fled, he had always felt two boulders weighing down his heart, which had now fallen and disappeared without a trace. Not only there was no damage left on the body or cultivation of his master, he was forgiven so easily too. He didn't feel any killing intent from her, and almost no anger was directed at him either. Compared to the incomparably heavy weight of his worries, guilty conscience, and the indecisiveness that he had been burdened with this whole time, the conclusion of the ordeal was simply like a dream, so good and satisfying that he found it hard to believe. "Master really did forgive me, heh?" Xianxia unconsciously chuckled. He lifted his head and narrowed his eyes in happiness as he talked to himself. If it was someone else, given Master's temperament, he would have already died 10,000 times for sure. Looks like I greatly underestimated myself. Considering how outstanding a disciple I am, even if I again commit a big mistake, Master will definitely not be willing to truly kill me off. Lake, for a whole 10,000 years, only two people were permitted entry. One was Mu Xuanyin, with the other being Mu Bingyun. The immortal lake was like an icy prison, but since ancient times it had never frozen over. The surface of the lake was filled with several beautiful rotating ice lotuses. A wondrous, beautiful, chilly mist was all around. A gentle breeze blew in from outside the ice windows. Water ripples and their reflections could be seen across the crystal-clear surface. The reflections of the ice and water were like an icy pure jade, making even the snow lotuses pale in comparison to the luster of the lake. The ice door was pushed open, and Mu Bingyun slowly stepped in. She saw Mu Xuanyin lifting up her face, allowing a few drops of water to slowly trickle across her beautiful, immortal-like face. They looked like shiny pearls rolling across her perfect skin. Profound practitioners could use their profound powers to clean themselves, even more so those already in the divine way. However, Mu Xuanyin always loved to take baths, and Mu Bingyun knew it. Perhaps this would allow her heart to maintain its calm and clarity. "Big sister, why have you summoned me?" Mu Bingyun gently asked. Her jade-like shoulders slowly moving, Mu Xuanyin slowly stood up. The mist and the water around her made it look like they were ornaments around a piece of beautiful jade. "Bingyun, how is the recovery of your profound strength going?" "About 90%, Mu Bingyun replied. "In a few more months, I'll be completely recovered." "That's good." Mu Xuanyin's voice was soft and gentle. "For the coming period of time, I've decided to focus my all on teaching Xianxia. With his current state, wanting to depend on himself to enter the profound God convention is an impossibility. Matters relating to the sect within and without will be handed over to you. You've been traveling for the last 1,000 years, and now that you've gained a rebirth, it's time for you to get familiar with sect matters once more. As for disciples who will take part in the profound God convention, you can give Xianxia full control over that matter. He doesn't need to consult you on anything." Mu Bingyun gently nodded her head and softly said, "Big sister, you've really just forgiven Xianxia like that?" If not, what else can I do? Mu Xuanyin squinted. He did brave death to charge into the ancient god-burying infernal prison to save my life. Should I just slap him dead? Mu Bingyun kept silent for a long while and then slowly replied. This is definitely for the best. I just didn't think that with your personality. She stopped herself midway, hurriedly continuing. Big sister, have you decided to raise Xianxia up as the next sect master? Mu Xuanyin gently shook her head. His heart is not here at all. When I took him in as my disciple, I already knew this fact. Then you? I don't know. Mu Xuanyin let out a sigh. Her gaze turned a little blurry, but she immediately steeled herself, lifted her hand, and gently brushed her snowy shoulder with an ice crystal. Her lips parted into a slightly cheeky smile, which made the light in the entire crystalline surroundings seem to grow dim. Bingyun, do you think I should dual cultivate with that brat? If not for him, Big Sister's precious Ice Phoenix Vital Yin would have been atrociously wasted. Big Sister, you're being mischievous again. Mu Bingyun remained unfazed. Since you've already decided to forgive Xianxia, you should forgive him completely and not bring up that incident any longer. And you shouldn't suddenly regret it at any future point. As for what you've instructed, I'll inform Huanji. On your way, get him to also send out 300 Divine Hall disciples to the extreme ice ocean. I want them to bring back at least 1,000 pieces of snow song ice crystals, Mu Xuanyin instructed. Mu Bingyun was slightly stunned. Then she realized something and said, Looks like Big Sister is personally going to refine the Universe Penta Jade pellet. After leaving the Ice Phoenix Sacred Hall, Mu Bingyun's footsteps suddenly stopped. She lifted her head, her eyes had a little bit of complexity in them. As she looked at the falling snow, she muttered to herself, She's changed. Her divine soul had such a sudden violent awakening. Is this because of Xianxia? Divine Ice Phoenix sect was silent all throughout. The entire Snow Song realm was the same, but one thing was clear and resounded in the hearts of all profound experts. The profound God convention was drawing nearer. This was the Eastern Divine region's greatest event of all time, with countless famous young profound practitioners taking part. These were the future rulers and overlords of the Eastern Divine region, and this was the first time in all of history that they could enter the eternal heaven pearl. This wasn't only a grand event for young, profound practitioners. The entire Eastern Divine region could be said to be looking forward to this. The 4 great king realms had jointly organized this and made this event available realm-wide. Those who were of extraordinary birth, those with world-shocking talent, all hoped to be among the 1,000 names of the young, profound practitioners. Their hearts fervently burned with crazed excitement and passion. The vast Eastern Divine region had become a lot quieter. All were sparing no expense and spending all their efforts to raise up their disciples with the qualifications to enter the profound God convention. It seemed like each and every sect was focused on that right now. The Snow Song realm was the same. All the Divine Ice Phoenix sect's disciples who qualified to enter the profound God convention were all in closed-door training with the guidance of their respective elders and teachers. The sect had expanded a great amount of resources, not being stingy at all. However, during this period of time, no one in the sect had seen Xianxia or heard any news of their sect master. Profound Sky Continent Blue Wind Nation. It had been 3 years since Xianxia and Mu Bingyun had traveled to the Snow Song realm. 3 years was a very short time, especially with respect to a nation's development. As Xianxia had killed Xuanyuan Wenchen, the 4 sacred grounds had bowed their heads to him, and Xianxia's wife was the head of Blue Wind Nation. Once the weakest nation in the continent, Blue Wind Nation had become so strong that it was almost unbelievable in just a short 3 years. At the heart of Blue Wind Nation, north of New Moon City. Although it was an official road, dangerous, profound beasts would suddenly appear now and then. One would usually need the protection of a profound practitioner, so few people traveled this road. But right now, a young man and young woman were walking along side by side on the road with their backs facing the sunset, their eyes filled with the brilliant light of excitement. New Moon Profound Palace. Big Brother Benefactor has been there, and we've finally come into contact with something that has to do with Big Brother. How exciting! The girl didn't look to be any older than 20 years of age. Although she was in plain garments, she was beautiful beyond measure. She had a perky behind and ample breasts. Her eyes were especially beautiful, far more gorgeous than the moon that shone in dark night. She held both her hands in front of her chest, her face a picture of excitement. Although she was now quite a distance away from New Moon City, she was still as excited as ever. Rumor has it that a few years ago, the Divine Phoenix Empire invaded Blue Wind Nation. New Moon City was burned down by Phoenix flames, and New Moon Profound Palace was completely destroyed. What we've seen should have been rebuilt after that. The young man was similar in age to the young girl. He looked around 60% similar to her. He was neither tall nor bulky, but he had a solemn and silent steadiness about him. After hearing the words of the young man, the girl pouted, clearly dissatisfied. "You're being a killjoy again. I won't hear any of this. Anyways, this is a place where Big Brother Benefactor once lived in. There are so many statues of him. It's just that those statues are so ugly. Big Brother Benefactor is 100 times better looking." The youth sighed. I could not imagine that Big Brother Benefactor was actually such a powerful person. There are legends told about him everywhere. I thought that I myself had become powerful enough that I could repay him. "Do you think Big Brother Benefactor still remembers us?" The girl suddenly asked. Her beautiful face held some expectation, also a little nervousness. "He probably doesn't." The youth laughed. "He's become that kind of big individual. He must have come across countless people and experienced even more numerous events. We were so little at that time, and also so weak. We're probably the least eye-catching of all of those whom he has helped, and it's been more than 10 years. How could he still remember?" The glow in the girl's beautiful eyes suddenly dimmed. She said softly, "I don't care if he doesn't remember us, I just want to see him one more time. I've worked so hard all these years just so that I could see Big Brother Benefactor sooner. I wonder where he is right now. I've also been thinking about it. Everyone has been saying that Big Brother Benefactor has not appeared for several years. Some say that he's in the distant illusory demon realm, while some say that he's out and about traveling while training. There are even some rumors that he has ascended to an even higher level of world." The youth shook his head. "I also don't know where to look for him, and even if I did, I'm not sure if it'd be considering disturbing him. If an expert had crossed their paths and felt both their profound auras, he'd definitely be shocked greatly." These two individuals, who looked barely 20 years of age, were actually in the Emperor Profound realm. In Blue Wind Nation, thrones were the highest form of existence, and these two were such young thrones. They would be enough to arouse a turbulent shock across Blue Wind's profound scene. However, they seemed to not want to attract attention to themselves. They weren't even flying. Even their speed of walking wasn't very fast. At this moment, both of them suddenly felt something. They lifted their heads. In the skies up above, a red figure was slowly flying by. In Blue Wind Nation, those able to fly across the skies were few and far between, and so this was particularly eye-catching. With their eyesight, they could see the red figure clearly. Both of them stopped in their tracks as if their souls were delivered a heavy blow. They stood there in shock. It was as if they had seen an immortal goddess of the 9 heavens, one with beauty that surpassed any dream or fantasy, one that would render others into disbelief at her beauty. God. The young man was in a complete daze, and those 2 words were inadvertently shouted out from the lips of that girl. Perhaps it was because she'd heard that young girl's voice. That figure in the sky stopped for a while. Upon seeing the duo, starlight which contained the entire world's magnificence shone within her eyes. "You are Feng Xue'er and Feng Xueyin. Eh?" The youth stood stunned. The girl replied, "Big sister goddess, how do you know our names? Is it because you're a real goddess?" The lady in the red dress giggled. Her immortal-like figure flashed, landing in front of the both of them. "So it really is you two. You can finally leave that place freely, that's great." Feng Xue'er came back to his senses and was suddenly on high alert. Who are you? How do you know our names, and why do you know about our situation?" The lady lifted up her snowy jade-like palm, and the scarlet phoenix flame imprint on her palm lit up. "My name is Feng Xue'er. I was born in the Divine Phoenix Empire of the Divine Phoenix Sect. You definitely know where that is. Divine Phoenix Sect?" This name gave the duo a great fright. Feng Xue'er stepped forward, putting himself between Feng Xue'er and the figure in front of them. "You're someone from the Divine Phoenix Sect. What do you want?" Their reactions amused Feng Xue'er. "Don't worry. We're all of the Phoenix bloodline. Divine Phoenix Sect will definitely not harm you, in fact." "Ah!" Feng Xue'er suddenly yelped. She stepped out from behind Feng Xue'er and stuttered, You're Feng Xue'er. You're that Divine Phoenix goddess?" Feng Xue'er still had yet to recover. He stood there stuck in shock, both his eyes growing larger and larger. The Divine Phoenix Goddess, once called Princess Snow of the Divine Phoenix Empire, the most beautiful woman in all of the profound sky continent. 2 years ago, she had become the first in all of history to step into the divine profound realm, replacing the now long-missing Xianxia as the profound sky continent's #1, becoming the strongest of the strong. She also had another identity, Xianxia's fiancé. Xue'er's face. It certainly is a title given to me by the masses, but you can just call me Big Sis Xue'er. Facing the young boy and girl Xianxia had always been concerned about, Feng Xue'er treated them as gently as possible, even though they had never met each other before. Whoa! Hearing her words of acknowledgement, Feng Xue'er covered her mouth with her hands as she let out a cry of surprise. The two of them were restricted by the Phoenix God barrier that they could only pass through after reaching the Emperor Profound realm. It had only been a few days since they had first stepped out of the 10,000 Beast mountain range, and they knew extremely few things about this outside world, which they had longed for the whole time. But even they were already well aware of the resounding reputation of the Phoenix Goddess. After all, she was the strongest person in the entire history of the profound sky continent, a supreme existence that was completely equivalent to heavenly deities in the eyes of countless profound practitioners. As it was their first time in the real world outside, Feng Xue'er was far more prudent and careful than Feng Xue'er. He was feeling an indescribable surprise in his heart, but still managed to say in rational tone, It doesn't matter who you are. How come you know us as well as our names? I'm sure that we have never told our names to any outsider. It's because I've seen you before and Big Brother Yun was the one who told me your names, Feng Xue'er replied with a sweet smile. Ah! Feng Xue'er was startled. Then, unable to suppress his excitement, he asked in a stammering voice, Is the Big Brother Yun you're talking about called Xianxia, Big Brother Benefactor? Of course. Feng Xue'er gently nodded her head. Sensing the power of the phoenix flame in their bodies that was quite strong, even if it was extremely immature to her, she said happily, Big Brother Yun is my fiancé. Since we all are from the phoenix lineage, Big Brother Yun would often mention you. Big Brother Benefactor has not forgotten about us. That goes without saying. Furthermore, he had always been concerned about you too. Feng Xue'er could clearly feel their surging emotions for Xianxia, which were constituted of gratefulness, adoration, and yearning. He had likely become the conviction that supported them all this while. 3 years ago, he brought me to see you, but discovered that the place you were living at was protected by a very big barrier. Big Brother chose to not bother you, however. Coincidentally, you guys came out of the barrier mischievously at the time and met danger. It was then that I saw you too and came to know your names. Listening to the words of Feng Xue'er, Feng Xue'er had her eyes become moist, after which tears streamed down from them. Big Brother Benefactor still remembers us and even came to look for us. Woo, ooh, woo. Feng Xue'er had fallen into a daze. 3 years ago, he went outside the barrier, chasing the willful Feng Xue'er. As a result, they came across a dangerous, profound beast. At the critical juncture, he tossed flames in a flurry as he was feeling terrified, which surprisingly immediately killed the profound beast. Later, he had doubted many a times whether it was really so easy to take down the profound beast. It was also that day when the complete version of World Ode of the Phoenix suddenly appeared within the minds of him and Feng Xue'er. They were under the impression that it was a gift bestowed by the Phoenix God. It was only now that they realized that it was actually Xianxia who had saved them, and also gave them the World Ode of the Phoenix, which was comprised of 6 stages. Seeing them crying in extreme happiness, Feng Xue'er also felt quite glad in her heart. Where's Big Brother Benefactor at present? Can we see him now? Feng Xue'er asked as tears glistened in his eyes. A deep look of earnest hope could be seen flashing through them. Feng Xue'er stayed silent for a bit before she lightly shook her head. Big Brother Yun has already left the profound sky continent and went to a very distant place in order to take care of something very important to him. However, you do not need to be discouraged. Big Brother Yun had said that he'll definitely return in 5 years, and 3 years have passed already. So you'll be able to see him in 2 years at the latest. 3 years, that means the rumors are true, Feng Xue'er said somewhat absent-mindedly. It doesn't matter. We will wait so long as we can get to see Big Brother Benefactor. I'll wait for him even if it takes 20 years. Feng Xue'er wiped the tears off her face. Her cheeks were still a bit red as she asked, So where do we go after 2 years to look for Big Brother Benefactor? Feng Xue'er said with a faint smile, When Big Brother Yun comes back, I'll have him quickly go meet you. I too have always wanted to pay a visit to your Lord Phoenix God. Okay, that's a promise then. Feng Xue'er nodded while smiling happily as she raised her pinky finger towards Feng Xue'er. Ah, Xianxia, she is the honorable goddess. You're being too disrespectful. Before he could finish his words, Feng Xue'er stretched out her finger and entangled it lightly with Feng Xian'er's. Amen, it's a promise. It had only been a little more than 10 years since the members of the shunned Phoenix family had dispelled the curse on their bloodline. They had been living hidden in the 10,000 Beast Mountain range and bearing the curse on their bloodline for generations. It was natural that they had no facilities to develop a solid foundation, and it was even more impossible for them to have ample resources. Living in such circumstances, the two youths were able to raise their cultivation levels from the elementary profound realm to the Emperor Profound realm in 10 years' time. It was absolutely not something that could be accomplished just by relying on their diluted Phoenix bloodline and the outstanding talent that they possessed. They must have worked extremely hard, suffered, and their obsession to increase their cultivation should have also supported them. Big Brother Yun, you'll definitely be very happy to see their amazing growth. Xue'er believes that you were more than half the reason behind them working so hard. Feng Xian'er had her eyes turned into curves as she stared blankly at the fairy-like face of Feng Xue'er. Big Sis Xue'er is the goddess, the most powerful one out there, so good-looking and gentle. No wonder you could become Big Brother Benefactor's wife. Feng Xue'er revealed a smile. Have all of your family members come out. You guys have just started to blend into the outside world, so you'll definitely experience a lot of difficulties. I'll tell Royal Father about you. The Divine Phoenix sect will be very willing to assist you. Thank you, Big Sis Xue'er, but there's no need for that, Feng Xue'er said gratefully, because father, mother, and grandfather don't have any intention to leave the ancestral land. Getting accustomed to something was a very fearsome thing. When they were uncomfortably hiding in the 10,000 Beast Mountain range for generations while bearing the curse on their bloodline, they were atoning for their sins, desiring for it to be removed so that they could once again return to the outside world. But when the day they longed for truly arrived, they had gotten so accustomed to being cut off from the rest of the world that they felt uneasiness in facing the unknown world outside, and were also very attached to the ancestral land. As a result, the elders chose to continue to stay secluded from the real world, even without any prior consultation among each other on the topic. Those who still longed for the outside world were young boys and girls like Feng Xue'er and Feng Xian'er. The elders naturally encouraged them and even urged them to blend into the outside world as soon as possible. Feng Xue'er was first surprised by his words, but then she slowly realized the reason. I see, anyways, if you need anything, you can just go to Blue Wind Imperial City. The current emperor of the Blue Wind Nation is the wife of your big brother benefactor, after all. I know it's Big Sis Xue'er. I and Xue'er were missing her too, Feng Xian'er called out in a tender voice. However, Big Sis Xue'er, you don't have to worry. Lord Phoenix God's barrier still exists, which has protected us all this while. There are also two. Ah, Xian'er. Feng Xue'er suddenly raised his voice, forcibly interrupting her words. Feng Xian'er covered her mouth with her hands too, as she said evasively, In short, there's nothing for Big Sis Xue'er to be anxious about. As Lord Phoenix God is shielding us, we can also take good care of ourselves. Amen, that's good then. Feng Xue'er felt strange at the unusualness in their attitude, but didn't pursue it any further. Then Feng Xue'er left the two, but the emotions in the hearts of Feng Xue'er and Feng Xian'er kept on surging. They found it difficult to calm down even after a long time. Xian'er, let's return to home first to tell father and mother that not only has Big Brother Benefactor not forgotten about us, he was also the one who gave us the World Ode of the Phoenix, Feng Xue'er said in an excited tone. Amen, father and mother will surely jump in fright when they hear of it. The two of them couldn't suppress their excitement and no longer cared about other people noticing them. Both of them leapt up into the sky simultaneously and flew away in the direction of the 10,000 Beast Mountain range. East of the Blue Wind Nation, floating Cloud City. Xianxia was lying on the bed in her room. She seemed to be sound asleep, but her rest wasn't calm at all. Starting at some point in time, her eyelashes and lips continued to quiver lightly. A very slight but undoubtedly odd pale color surfaced on her pretty face. His breathing was also gradually growing disordered. Who are you? Why are you in my body? What exactly do you want to do? She called out helplessly in the dark world. Do you truly not know who I am? Within the world of her soul, another voice resounded, one that was the same as hers. It was just that it sounded incomparably distant and indiscernible, as if it was coming from an extremely far-off antiquity. It sounded unimaginably indistinct. I'm not your dream or imagination. I'm none other than you. No, you aren't. I'm Xianxia, not you or anyone else for that matter. Hurry up and go away. Go away and never come back. You're Xianxia as well as me. Xianxia isn't the whole of you, nor am I the whole of you. I and Xianxia together make your whole self. Why do you so strongly reject and fear my existence? No, I'm definitely sick to be hearing things. You're just a product of my wild imagination. I beg you to leave me. Don't ever make your appearance. You're afraid of me replacing your existence and changing your will, but you clearly know that you are you and I am I. I am you and you are I. It's impossible for even me to replace the will of Xianxia, and it's impossible for Xianxia to erase my existence too. Would you rather have a fragmented will? Don't you long for your true self? No, I don't. I'm Xianxia, no one other than that. I don't want to turn into the me who wouldn't be recognized by others. I don't want to become the me who wouldn't be recognized by Little Chi. I beg you to leave. If you can stay in deep sleep, I ask you to remain that way just like before. Never wake up ever again. Silence lingered for a long time. As you wish. If there comes a day when you desire enough power to change everything, then once more awaken this self of yours. Calm returned to the world inside her soul, after which crimson flames ignited all of a sudden. Inside the flames was a figure that was completely dyed in blood. His hand held a huge vermilion sword. His body, dripping wet with fresh blood, was riddled with gaping wounds. He let out a roar of anger and despair, but his body was pierced through by dozens of weapons and beams. His already damaged body broke into pieces like a ripped silk cloth, and then he turned into ashes that filled the whole sky within the flames. Little Chi! Xianxia shrieked as she suddenly sat up on the bed. Her pupils were trembling in fear, and her whole body was drenched in cold sweat. She pressed her hands tightly against her chest, which was heaving in an incomparably intense way. The sound of hurried footsteps could be heard coming near. Su Ling'er pushed open the door as she entered inside and quickly came over to the bed of Xianxia. However, Xianxia showed no reaction, having yet to recover from the fright. "Big Sister Lingxi, did you have a nightmare again?" Su Ling'er asked in a light tone. "It was that dream again." Xianxia was still absent-minded. It had been 3 years. That dream, that fearsome scene had appeared over and over again. It had happened countless times by now, but it would cause her to be utterly frightened each and every time. "It's because you're too concerned about Big Brother Yun coming across danger outside that you keep having the same nightmare since the time he left," Su Ling'er comforted. "There's someone so concerned about him here. I'd be the first to not forgive him if he dares to return late." While speaking, Su Ling'er quietly shifted her gaze sideways. Her line of sight was hazy, as if covered by mist. "Big Brother Yun Chi, it's been 3 years. I miss you so much." "Amen, it's just a nightmare," Xianxia said lightly. A good while passed when she finally raised her head. Her cheeks looked much more radiant, and they no longer had any sign of the pale color from earlier. "Ling'er, I've made you constantly worry about me since Little Chi left this place. But I feel that I won't be losing conscience for no reason from now on." "Huh," Su Ling'er was startled. "It might sound very weird, but I do actually feel so," Xianxia said with a shallow smile. "I don't want Little Chi to be busy worrying about me right after coming back. It was all a dream." Just a dream. Looking outside the window, she lightly mumbled in her heart.